Chapter 445. I've heard that most of the four heavens' divine guards are chosen by the 9 Hall Masters as their core disciples. Could it be that Hall Master Feng has taken a fancy to Lu Ming and wants to recruit him as his disciple? That's possible. Lu Ming has such a cultivation and battle strength at such a young age. It's normal for him to be chosen by Hall Master Feng. I'm so jealous. How great would it be if I had such a master? Stop dreaming, let's go. The surrounding people discussed in low voices as they speculated. Soon the crowd dispersed, leaving only Lu Ming and Hall Master Feng. Lu Ming came before Hall Master Feng and brought his fists together. May I know why Hall Master has asked Lu Ming to stay? Take a seat first. Hall Master Feng said with a smile as he raised his hand. Lu Ming nodded and sat down on a futon beside Hall Master Feng. Ihi, Lu Ming, are you 20 years old? Hall Master Feng asked. Not yet 20 years old, not yet. Lu Ming replied. It's rare to have such a cultivation and battle strength at the age of 20. Your future is limitless. Hall Master Feng exclaimed. Lu Ming's expression changed slightly, but he did not reply. I've heard about your battle with Kai Go and Xing Wushuang's words a few days ago. Although Xing Wushuang's words are too absolute, they are not without reason. A person's energy is limited. Cultivating too intense at the same time will increase your battle strength in a short period of time, but in the future, especially after reaching the martial emperor realm, the comprehension of the intents of the heavens and earth will be crucial. Without a breakthrough in your intents, it will be difficult for your cultivation to have a breakthrough, which will greatly affect your cultivation. Lu Ming, I'm interested in recruiting you as my disciple, as long as you promise to focus on cultivating the wind intent. Hall Master Feng said in one breath as he looked at Lu Ming with a hint of anticipation. Lu Ming frowned slightly. To be honest, he was quite interested in becoming Hall Master Feng's disciple. This way he would be able to avoid many detours in his comprehension of the wind intent. But to ask him to give up on cultivating the power of fire, this was something he absolutely could not do. The force of fire was the force that he had comprehended the earliest, and it was not something that he could give up just because he wanted to. After pondering for a moment, Lu Ming cupped his fists and said, Lu Ming thanks Hall Master Feng for his kindness. However, Lu Ming has still decided to cultivate both wind and fire. I will not give up on any of them. I'm afraid I will have to disappoint Hall Master Feng. This was equivalent to rejecting Hall Master Feng. You. Hall Master Feng's expression changed as he said, Lu Ming, I'm doing this for your own good. Please reconsider. Thank you, Hall Master Feng. I have made up my mind. Lu Ming said. You are really stubborn. Go quickly. Otherwise, this old man will feel annoyed just by looking at you. Palace Master Feng waved his hand with an exasperated expression. Lu Ming stood up, bowed and strode away. Sigh, I'm still too young and too confident in myself. Later on, when I suffer and hit a wall, I only know how to regret it. Hall Master Feng sighed. After Lu Ming returned to the courtyard, he sat down cross-legged. In his mind, the content of Hall Master Feng's explanation kept flashing, and he kept verifying it with what he had comprehended. Lu Ming's comprehension of wind deepened. However, he still had a long way to go before he could comprehend a trace of wind concept. After that, Lu Ming spent another 1,000 supreme-grade spiritual crystals to enter the Tao Enlightenment Palace to cultivate for 10 days. However, he still could not touch the threshold of concept. It seems that I can only use profound crystals. Lu Ming pondered. In the Dongming ancient battlefield, Lu Ming had obtained a total of 29 profound crystals. Among them there were 4 of the wind attribute, 5 of the fire attribute, and 3 of the thunder attribute. The rest were of other attributes such as the metal attribute and the water attribute. Lu Ming pondered for a moment before going to the mystical treasure house to exchange all the other attribute profound crystals for wind attribute profound crystals. Of course, the exchange fee was 1,000 supreme-grade spiritual crystals. Lu Ming only had 45,000 supreme-grade spiritual crystals left. Lu Ming had a total of 21 wind attribute profound crystals. As for the fire attribute and thunder attribute profound crystals, Lu Ming did not exchange them because he would definitely need them later. In the courtyard of the Eastern Sky Courtyard, Lu Ming sat cross-legged, and a blue crystal appeared in his hand. Crack. Lu Ming squeezed the crystal hard and it shattered. Immediately, a mysterious wind concept spread out and enveloped Lu Ming. This wind concept was actually in the form of a thread, but it was a few hundred times thinner than a strand of hair. However, when Lu Ming comprehended it, he felt that it was many times clearer than when he was in the Tao Enlightenment Palace. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He used all his strength to capture the wind concept around him and began to comprehend it. As expected of a profound crystal, a treasure that even martial kings would drool over. Lu Ming's comprehension of the wind concept had greatly increased. Between heaven and earth, strands of the concept of heaven and earth were absorbed by Lu Ming, entering Lu Ming's body. Profound crystals were the physical embodiment of the concept of heaven and earth, condensed over countless years. Every time he absorbed a strand, it would increase his comprehension of the wind concept. However, even more strands of concept dissipated in the air. There was simply no time to absorb them. If this scene was seen by others, they would probably vomit blood from jealousy. Waste. This was a complete waste. Most of the concept strands had dissipated from a single profound crystal. This was simply a waste of heavenly treasures. It should be known that even for half-step kings, very few of them would use profound crystals to cultivate. This was because it was too wasteful. A single profound crystal would cost at least 1,000 supreme-grade spiritual crystals. Only martial kings who used profound crystals to cultivate would not waste them. They would be able to absorb all the concept strands. However, Lu Ming did not care so much. In his opinion, if he did not convert the resources into strength as soon as possible, it would be even more wasteful if he did not use them. Only by increasing his strength would he be able to obtain more resources and treasures. An hour later, the concept strands of a profound crystal had completely dissipated. Again, Lu Ming took out another piece of wind attribute profound meaning crystal and crushed it into pieces. Kacha. Kacha. Following this, a kacha sound would resound in Lu Ming's courtyard every hour. 12 hours later, Lu Ming had used up 12 wind attribute profound meaning crystals consecutively. At this moment, Lu Ming's eyes became brighter and brighter. Rings of cyan energy revolved around his body. The wind aura around Lu Ming's body was raised to the extreme. Right at this moment, swish. Lu Ming waved his hand, and a cyan wind blade flew out from his fingers, cutting a stone block in two. Wind concept. I finally comprehended a strand of the wind concept. Lu Ming revealed an ecstatic expression. From aura to concept, the difference between aura and concept was like the difference between heaven and earth. This was an essential difference, the difference between rotten wood and steel. Comprehending a strand of concept meant that Lu Ming was already half a step into the realm of king. Lu Ming's cultivation had already reached the peak of martial ancestor realm. Lu Ming could now be considered a true half-step king. Chapter 446. Although he had only comprehended a trace of the concept of heaven and earth and was still far from condensing concept runes, this was already a huge improvement. There are still 9 wind profound crystals left. I might as well use them all to deepen my understanding of the concept of wind. With a thought, Lu Ming took out more wind profound crystals, crushed them and started cultivating. This time Lu Ming absorbed even more profound threats. The amount he absorbed was several times more than before. After comprehending a trace of the concept of heaven and earth, his absorption of the profound crystals' concept threads became stronger. Lu Ming's understanding of the concept of wind also gradually deepened. Only when the last 9 wind profound crystals were used up did Lu Ming end his cultivation. Now, I can put aside the concept of wind for a while and start comprehending the concept of fire. Also, I have to find time to comprehend the force of thunder. In 2 days the Fire Palace Master will give a lecture. I can't miss it. Lu Ming pondered and then continued cultivating. 2 days passed in the blink of an eye. Lu Ming went to the Fire Palace. Just like the previous Wind Palace, there were many people, close to 2,000. The layout of the Fire Palace was very similar to the Wind Palace. The main hall was filled with praying mats. Lu Ming walked in and casually found a praying mat to sit on. That's Lu Ming. He really came to the Fire Palace. He really wants to cultivate both wind and fire. He's overestimating himself. I heard that the Wind Palace Master wanted to take him in as a disciple. The condition was that he had to specialize in the concept of wind. He actually rejected it. I also heard about this. He's too arrogant. Just because he has some achievements, he's too arrogant. He doesn't even listen to the Palace Master's opinion. I think that Sheng Wushuang is right. The distance between him and Sheng Wushuang will only grow further and further in the future. The other Empyrean Divine Guards in the surroundings glanced at Lu Ming from time to time, whispering and discussing in low voices. After hearing this, Lu Ming shook his head and couldn't be bothered with them. Walk your own path and let others speak for you. He firmly believed that he would use practical actions to shut these people up. Soon the Fire Hall Master arrived. The Fire Hall Master was a tall and burly old man. He wore a fiery red long robe and had a mighty aura. As soon as he arrived, he glanced around, and his gaze lingered on Lu Ming for a moment. Without saying anything, he began to explain. Lu Ming listened attentively. 3 hours later, the lecture ended. Lu Ming felt that he had learned a lot. After returning to the courtyard, Lu Ming began to cultivate non-stop. On the second day, Lu Ming used up all 5 fire attribute Upanishad crystals. However, it was a pity that it was still lacking. Lu Ming did not comprehend a trace of the concept of fire. I still have one more chance to enter the 100 deities slope. I might as well put aside the concept of wind and fire for now and start comprehending the power of thunder. When the power of thunder reaches a certain level, I will enter the 100 deities slope. Only then will I be able to make the best use of this precious slot. Furthermore, the Thunder Hall Master is going to give a lecture tomorrow. I might as well go and listen. Lu Ming pondered. On the second day, Lu Ming headed for the Thunder Hall. When Lu Ming entered the Thunder Hall, he immediately caused a commotion. That is Lu Ming. What is he doing here? Could it be that he wants to comprehend the power of thunder? Crazy, I think he is crazy. Not to mention cultivating the wind and fire attributes at the same time, he actually wants to comprehend the power of thunder. He is really indulging in fantasy. With how stubborn he is, I estimate that he will not even be able to break through to Martial King. The others discussed excitedly. Brother Lu, you've really exceeded my expectations. A figure sat down beside Lu Ming. Brother Xiao, Lu Ming said. This young man was none other than Xiao Haoyu, who had been saved by Lu Ming at the dark underworld ancient battlefield. Brother Lu sighed. I don't know what to say. Xiao Haoyu let out a sigh. Lu Ming let out a faint smile. He was too lazy to care about what the others were saying and waited in silence. After a while, an old man wearing a blue robe arrived at the top of the hall and sat down with his legs crossed. Following this, his eyes scanned the surroundings at lightning speed. When his gaze landed on Lu Ming's figure, he was slightly surprised. Following this, a cold flicker could be seen as he snapped, Lu Ming, what are you doing here at the Thunder Hall? Get out of here. The entire place fell silent. Lu Ming frowned his eyebrows. What was wrong with this Thunder Hall master? Even if he didn't agree with Lu Ming cultivating the concept of thunder, he shouldn't have scolded him and asked him to get out of here. Lu Ming stood up and cupped his fists. Thunder Hall Master, I am only here to listen to your lecture. There is no rule in the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace that forbids me from listening to your lecture. Listen to your lecture? What a joke. Who doesn't know that you are arrogant and overconfident, wanting to cultivate the wind and fire concepts at the same time? What's even more ridiculous is that you came to the Thunder Hall to listen to the concept of thunder. What? You want to comprehend the concept of thunder? What a joke. My Thunder Hall doesn't welcome an arrogant person like you. The Thunder Hall Master waved his sleeves and scolded loudly. Lu Ming's frown deepened. Lu Ming, I heard that the Thunder Hall Master is Qiu Changkong's master. Xiao Haoyu's soft voice sounded in his ears. Lu Ming raised his eyebrows and came to a realization. Lu Ming finally knew who the mysterious master behind Qiu Changkong, the big shot of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace, was. It was actually one of the 9 Hall Masters, the Thunder Hall Master. No wonder the Thunder Hall Master scolded Lu Ming loudly when he saw him. At first, Lu Ming felt that it was strange. But now, everything made sense. Haha. Lu Ming's face turned cold as he said, Thunder Hall Master, am I being arrogant and overconfident? It doesn't seem to have anything to do with how many concepts I cultivate. Furthermore, there are plenty of experts who cultivate a few concepts and become unhindered in the world. What makes you think that I can't do it? Impudent. What kind of attitude is this? How dare you speak to this old man like this? The Thunder Hall Master scolded coldly and stood up abruptly. An unbelievably powerful aura burst out from him. It was as deep as the sea and unfathomable. Sizzle, roar. Lu Ming suddenly let out a long roar and activated his 9 dragons bloodline. Dragon roars echoed out as a spear light burst out to resist this aura. However, Lu Ming felt as if there was an immemorial mountain weighing billions of Jin pressing down on his head. The spear light instantly collapsed, and the terrifying pressure pressed down on Lu Ming's body. Creak. There seemed to be moaning sounds coming from Lu Ming's body and his bones were creaking. Bang. Lu Ming almost knelt down. He roared and exerted force on his waist. Using both hands to support himself, he barely managed to not kneel down. Lu Ming, who the hell do you think you are? How dare you compare yourself with those peerless experts of the world? Those experts cultivate a few concepts because they have the talent. Do you have it? The Thunder Hall Master scolded coldly. I already said that it is my own business if I want to cultivate a few concepts. It has nothing to do with you. Old man, your disciple Qiu Changkong was defeated by me. Don't you feel embarrassed? As the Thunder Hall Master, you actually attacked me because of your disciple's incompetence. You are bullying the weak. Aren't you ashamed? I will report this matter to the Palace Lord. Chapter 447. Lu Ming hollered. He was going all out. Furthermore, with so many people watching, Xiao Qin did not believe that the Thunder Palace Master would dare to do anything to him. How audacious! Impudent! The Thunder Palace Master roared furiously, his aura flourishing. Lu Ming did his best to resist the Thunder Palace Master's aura. He roared, "Old man, do you think that the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace is yours? The Emperor Heaven Divine Palace has the rules set by Martial Monarch De. I did not violate any of the rules. You are abusing your power for personal gain, bullying the weak. Are you not putting Martial Monarch De in your eyes? Furthermore, in the future, as long as anyone offends your disciples or you find unpleasing to the eye, you can bully them and punish them as you wish." Lu Ming shouted. He simply put two big hats on the Palace Master of Thunder's head. The moment Xiao Qin said this, the 2,000 people present looked at the Thunder Palace Master with strange expressions. Lu Ming was not wrong. He did not violate any rules. How many states he cultivated was his own business. In fact, the Thunder Palace Master did not even have the authority to chase Lu Ming away. This was because every Emperor Heaven Divine Guard had the right to attend lectures in the 9 palaces. This was a rule set by Martial Monarch De, and the 9 palace masters could not violate it. Little bastard. The Thunder Palace Master's expression turned gloomy. Lu Ming was not an ordinary Emperor Heaven Divine Guard but an Eastern Sky Divine Guard. He had long since received the attention of the other palace masters and even the palace masters. The Thunder Palace Master did not dare to do anything to Lu Ming in public. Otherwise he would not be able to explain himself. Stubborn and arrogant. If you do not repent, Half-Step King is your limit. Now, scram out of the Thunder Palace for this old man. The Thunder Palace Master retracted his aura and berated. Lu Ming straightened his body and wiped away the blood at the corner of his mouth. He had already been injured earlier. I will remember today's humiliation. One day I will take it back tenfold. Lu Ming's eyes lit up as he shouted. Then he turned around and left with large strides. The others were startled. Lu Ming was too bold. He actually dared to speak to the Thunder Palace Master like that. The Thunder Palace Master's eyes flashed with killing intent. In the end he did not attack. He watched as Lu Ming left. Lu Ming, this kid, has only achieved a little, but he has been blinded by this little achievement in front of him. He has overestimated himself. Such a person will never achieve anything great in his lifetime. You must not learn from him. After Lu Ming left, Temple Master Lei said to the others. Yes. Sparse sounds could be heard. This made the Thunder Palace Master quite displeased. He coldly harumphed and began to lecture. Lu Ming walked out of the Thunder Palace. He turned around and looked at the Thunder Palace, his fists tightly clenched together. Thunder Palace Master, you are stronger than me now and I can tolerate it. But sooner or later, I will make you kneel before me, kowtow, and admit your mistakes. Furthermore, I believe that day won't be too far away. Lu Ming's eyes flashed with murderous intent as he strode away. Now he needed to quickly cultivate the fire force to the concept of fire. After that, he would put all his effort into cultivating the lightning force. He needed to reach the Martial King realm as soon as possible. Only after reaching the Martial King realm would he have the right to speak. Those below the Martial King realm were all ants. Without strength, one could only be bullied by others. Only with strength could one control one's own fate. Lu Ming had long since understood this principle, and he had been practicing it. After returning to the Eastern Sky Courtyard, Lu Ming sat down cross-legged. Since I can't listen to the lecture, I'll forcefully use the profound crystal to comprehend the lightning force first. Lu Ming's eyes flashed with madness. Soon after, he took out a lightning profound crystal and squeezed it. Kacha. The Thunder Upanishad crystal exploded, releasing wisps of intent domain. However, Lu Ming had yet to comprehend the power of thunder. There were very few strands of concept that he could absorb. It could be said that an entire profound meaning crystal was purely a waste. However, the profound crystal was no small matter. It was a treasure that even kings would drool over. Even if he could only absorb a strand, it would be of great help to Lu Ming. Lu Ming closed his eyes and immersed himself in comprehending the lightning force. Lightning is incomparably terrifying. It represents extreme speed and destructive power. It even represents the might of the heavens. Under the heavenly lightning, all living things are dormant. Various thoughts flashed through Lu Ming's mind as he continued to comprehend. In the blink of an eye, 2 hours passed. Lu Ming opened his eyes. Just a bit more. Following this, Lu Ming took out a second lightning profound crystal and crushed it without hesitation. This time he absorbed a little more intent than last time. An hour later. Whoosh! Lu Ming suddenly opened his eyes. 2 bolts of lightning shot out from his eyes. At the same time, a surge of intent erupted from his body. Lightning force. He had comprehended the basics of lightning force. Haha, I finally comprehended the basics of lightning force. Then let's go all out and use up the last lightning profound crystal. Subsequently, Lu Ming used up the third thunder attribute profundity crystal. At this point, the 29 profound crystals he had obtained from the Dark East ancient battlefield had all been used up by Lu Ming. This time he had absorbed even more intent, and Lu Ming's comprehension of lightning force had greatly increased. After 2 hours, Lu Ming opened his eyes. His lightning force had reached minor completion. He had used 3 thunder attribute profound crystals. The total value was definitely more than 3 billion low-grade spirit crystals. He had used such a terrifying amount of resources to cultivate the thunder force to the initial success stage. If others were to know about this, they might vomit blood and scold Lu Ming for being a prodigal. Now I've comprehended a trace of wind intent. Originally, I could have used the wind intent to refine my true qi and slowly convert it into true yuan. However, with the thickness of my true qi, I don't know how long it would take to refine my true yuan by relying on a single intent. I should wait until I've comprehended a trace of fire and lightning intent. Only by combining the 3 will I be able to refine my true yuan faster. Moreover, before you temper your true essence, you have to try your best to cultivate the true battle dragon art to the highest level of the 9th level. Otherwise, after the true qi is transformed into true essence, if you want to improve the true battle dragon art, it will be at least 100 times more difficult than now. Lu Ming analyzed his own cultivation level and the direction that he should take next. Once the true dragon battle art converted true qi into true yuan, the difficulty of improving it would be extremely terrifying. Therefore, Lu Ming planned to try his best to improve the true dragon battle art to the 9th level before his true qi was converted into true yuan. Coincidentally, he had some dragon blood flowers and a dragon bone. Without further ado, Lu Ming waved his hand and dragon blood flowers appeared. Swallow. Lu Ming directly picked up a dragon blood flower and swallowed it. He started to circulate the true dragon battle art and cultivated it with all his might. Lu Ming refined the dragon blood flowers one after another. Lu Ming's true dragon battle art was also rapidly improving. 2 days later, all the dragon blood flowers were refined by Lu Ming. Then Lu Ming took out the dragon bone. According to his speculation, it should be the dragon finger bone that he had obtained from the dragon cave. Although countless years had passed, it still contained a rich essence. Lu Ming used the 9 dragons bloodline and started to refine the dragon bone with all his might. Chapter 448. As for the dragon bone, it became smaller and smaller under the devouring of the 9 dragons bloodline. This refinement took 7 days. Suddenly, the roar of a dragon pierced through the clouds and shook the entire mountain peak. Many figures were alarmed and flew into the sky to look at the mountain peak. That's the East Sky Courtyard. It's Lu Ming. What the hell is he doing now? He's probably cultivating some kind of secret technique. The further one goes on the path of martial arts, the more important the concept of heaven and earth is. He only knows how to cultivate some unorthodox secret techniques. His combat strength has increased, but what's the use of that? That's right, his path is wrong. There's no need to pay attention to him. Let's go. After a round of discussion, these people could not be bothered with him and returned to their respective courtyards. At this moment, Lu Ming's cultivation had reached a critical moment. The true qi in his body was condensed to the extreme and was completely formed by true dragons. True dragons swam in his meridians. Then another dragon roar came from the vortex in his dantian. At this moment, the vortex in his dantian had undergone a fundamental change. Originally, the vortex was only formed by pure true qi, but now it had become 2 true dragons. The 2 true dragons circled each other and spun continuously. On the side, there were constantly small true dragons flying in and out. True Dragon Battle Technique 9th Level Breakthrough. Lu Ming's eyes shone brightly. After more than 10 days of cultivation, he had completely refined the dragon blood flower and dragon bone. The true dragon battle technique had broken through 2 levels, from the 7th level to the 9th level. Lu Ming's strength skyrocketed once again. At this moment, a true dragon flew out of his dantian and rushed into his consciousness. Boom. There was a rumbling explosion in his consciousness and a message appeared in Lu Ming's mind. True dragon battle technique, greater mastery of the foundation establishment section. This was a message that suddenly appeared in Lu Ming's mind. What does that mean? Greater mastery of the foundation establishment section? Could it be that the true dragon battle technique is divided into many sections and what I'm cultivating now is only the foundation establishment section? Lu Ming was in a daze, his mind full of questions. Perhaps it's very likely. After all, Supreme Nine Yang was the one who had brought the true battle dragon art out of the 9 dragon ruins. Perhaps he had only brought a part of it out and not the whole thing. If that's the case, there are other chapters of the true battle dragon incantation. If the foundation establishment chapter alone can allow one to cultivate 10 times the Jinqi, how terrifying would the other chapters be? Lu Ming's mind was filled with thoughts. As he thought about it, his heart was filled with anticipation. Looks like I'll have to visit the 9 dragons' ancient ruins if I have the chance. Lu Ming secretly decided. It could be said that his current achievements were inseparable from the 9 dragons. The first bloodline was awakened by a drop of blood essence from the 9 dragons. The true battle dragon art and 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps that he cultivated were both brought out from the 9 dragons' ruins by Supreme Nine Sons. Lu Ming was bound to have a trip to the 9 dragons' remains. Now that I've mastered the true dragon battle art, it's time to take a look at the 100 Gods slope. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. Immediately after, Lu Ming left the East Sky courtyard and arrived at the plaza where he had first entered. He took out the Empyrean Divine Guard token and injected his Jinqi. Instantly, inscriptions appeared and a small whirlpool appeared in the air. Without any hesitation, Lu Ming stepped into it. In the next moment, Lu Ming realized that he was already in the Myriad Star City, under the huge pavilion of the Empyrean Divine Palace. Swish! Lu Ming's figure moved and flew towards the west. The 100 God slope was over 300,000 miles west of the Myriad Star City. With Lu Ming's current cultivation, it would only take him a few hours to travel 300,000 miles. 2 hours later, a region shrouded in gray fog appeared before Lu Ming's eyes. Looking from afar, this region seemed to be endless and had no end. It was very vast. The 100 God slope was very strange. It was said that tens of thousands of years ago, the 100 God slope was not called the 100 God slope but something else. Suddenly one day a crack appeared in the sky. Over 100 corpses fell from the crack. These corpses were of various races. There were human-shaped corpses and those of other races. Some of the corpses were not big while others were as big as mountains. According to records, there were people who saw the corpses of divine beasts like true dragons and phoenixes falling down. Every corpse had an overwhelming aura. They were unimaginable existences. Hence, people called it the 100 God slope. After those corpses fell, the region of the 100 God slope changed. The entire region was filled with killing intent and baleful aura. No one could enter this region. No matter how strong an expert was, if they entered that region, their body would be torn apart by the strong killing intent and their soul would be destroyed. Only after 10,000 years did a change occur. Someone discovered that those below Martial King could enter. However, those above Martial King were still unable to enter. It remained so until now. Those above Martial King would die if they entered. Once, there were even martial monarchs who barged in but never came out. However, those below Martial King would be fine if they entered. They could even obtain supreme fortuitous encounters. Inside, not only would one be able to comprehend the state of heaven and earth, one could even obtain some supreme treasures. There were even people who obtained the inheritance of supreme existences and soared to the sky, becoming a peak expert of the continent. There was a period of time when the 100 God slope became the focus of the various factions of the divine desolate continent. However, as time passed, more and more people entered. The treasures and inheritances inside were almost all taken away. Hence, the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace was able to occupy it. Otherwise, the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace alone might not be able to take over such an important place. Even now, the 100 God slope was still the most important holy land of the Tianxin region's eastern branch palace. Very few people could enter. Every year not many people could enter. Lu Ming slowly approached the 100 God slope. Who is it? This is a forbidden land of my Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace. Trespassers will be killed without mercy. A loud shout resounded. An aura soared into the sky like smoke. It was incomparably horrifying. A tall middle-aged man suddenly appeared not far from Lu Ming. This was definitely a king. He was incomparably strong. The 100 God Slope was the holy land of the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace. It was normal for there to be powerful existences guarding it. Lu Ming was certain that there was definitely more than one powerful figure around the 100 God Slope. Most likely there were quite a number of powerful figures. Senior, I am the new Eastern Sky Divine Guard of the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace. This is my Divine Guard token. Lu Ming cupped his fist. Then he took out the Divine Guard token and handed it to the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man took a look at it and his expression relaxed. He revealed a faint smile and said, "You are indeed an Eastern Sky Divine Guard. You have one chance to enter the 100 God Slope. Go on in. However, you can only stay there for 3 months. After 3 months you must come out. Otherwise there will be danger." As he spoke, he returned the Divine Guard token to Lu Ming. "Many thanks, Senior. I will definitely come out within 3 months. Chapter 449. When Lu Ming flew into the area filled with black fog, he suddenly felt a huge force acting on his body. Lu Ming's expression changed. He slowly descended and landed on the ground. "I can't fly at the 100 God Slope," Lu Ming muttered. Then he looked around. It was strange. Everything was normal outside. However, when he flew into the area filled with gray fog, not only could he not fly, even the surrounding environment had changed. Looking around, it was a gray desert. Yes, it was a desert. Not a single blade of grass could be seen. Without hesitation, Lu Ming dashed forward in big strides. However, not long after, Lu Ming's expression changed again. That was because he felt that his cultivation was being suppressed and it kept decreasing. Not long after, his cultivation had been suppressed to the middle stage of Martial Ancestor Realm 9. It's one thing to hear rumors, but it's another thing to experience it for yourself. Watching my cultivation constantly drop, this feeling is really uncomfortable. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. Then he ignored it and continued to run forward. According to the experience of the predecessors, the deeper one went into the 100 God Slope, the more opportunities one would obtain. 2 hours later, Lu Ming's cultivation had been completely suppressed. He could not use his genuine qi at all. He was no different from an ordinary person who had not cultivated. Luckily, Lu Ming's physical strength was extremely strong. He had already reached the 6th grade Greater Success realm. He could still retain a certain amount of combat strength. Moreover, he was not suppressed in the use of force and intent realm. However, since he could not use his genuine qi, Lu Ming's speed was greatly reduced. He could only travel like an ordinary person. Whoosh! Lu Ming's muscles bulged. He was like an agile monkey running in the desert. Suddenly, Lu Ming stopped in his tracks. He sensed a mysterious fluctuation spreading toward him. A wisp of blue light was floating in the air. This is the intent realm of heaven and earth, the water intent realm of heaven and earth. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. In the 100 God Slope, there was a kind of fortuitous encounter where one would encounter the intent realm of heaven and earth floating in the air. According to the expert speculations, this realm of heaven and earth should have been left behind by the corpses that had fallen here. Those powerful existences had comprehended the intent domain of heaven and earth to an inconceivable level when they were alive, merging it with their will. Even after death, the intent domain of heaven and earth didn't disperse, floating around the world. If one could come across it and comprehend it, they would have a great harvest. Because these concepts of heaven and earth seem to have been tamed by someone, the difficulty of comprehending them was much lower. A wisp of it was worth at least several power Upanishad crystals. Unfortunately, it's the concept of water. I can't use it now. Lu Ming sighed and left reluctantly. He continued to move forward and wandered around. In the next 2 days, Lu Ming didn't encounter anything. Not to mention any treasures, he didn't even encounter a wisp of the realm of heaven and earth. On the 3rd day, Lu Ming encountered a strand of concept of earth, which made Lu Ming sigh in regret. However, on the 7th day, Lu Ming's luck came. He encountered a wisp of the concept of fire. Immediately, Lu Ming used his own power to entangle this wisp of concept of heaven and earth and started to comprehend it. As Lu Ming comprehended it, this wisp of concept of heaven and earth slowly dissipated like a power Upanishad crystal. No wonder the spots to enter the 100 God Slope were so precious. It was because the number of concepts of heaven and earth wandering around the 100 God Slope would decrease. Perhaps after a few years, the 100 God Slope wouldn't be so attractive anymore. 1 day later, this wisp of concept of heaven and earth completely dissipated. Lu Ming's comprehension of the concept of fire had deepened greatly. He was getting closer and closer to comprehending a wisp of the concept of fire. Soon after, Lu Ming continued to wander around. On the 11th day after Lu Ming entered the 100 Gods slope, he encountered another wisp of concept of heaven and earth that was useful to him. The concept of thunder. Lu Ming rejoiced and started to comprehend it. His concept of thunder advanced by leaps and bounds. With this wisp of concept of heaven and earth, his concept of thunder reached great perfection. Lu Ming cultivated 3 kinds of concepts. In the 100 Gods slope, this was one of his advantages. It was easy to encounter concepts of heaven and earth that were useful to him. If he only comprehended one kind of concept, it would be much more difficult to encounter the corresponding concept of heaven and earth. He might encounter it only a few times in 3 months. However, after this, Lu Ming's luck seemed to have run out. For 7 consecutive days, he didn't encounter any concept of heaven and earth. I'm really unlucky. I just wander around all day. I can't even cultivate true qi. Lu Ming sighed. Suddenly, Lu Ming's expression changed. He smelled a faint medicinal fragrance in front of him. What's going on? There's desert everywhere. There's not a drop of water or even a blade of grass. Why is there a medicinal fragrance? Lu Ming was very curious. He followed the medicinal fragrance. Not long after, Lu Ming saw some rocks standing in the desert. It was Lu Ming's first time seeing rocks in the 100 Gods slope. The 100 Gods slope was full of desert and sand. There's water and a spiritual medicine. Lu Ming walked into the pile of rocks. He suddenly realized that there was a small pond in the middle of the pile of rocks. It was less than 1 meter in length and width. There was a clear spring in the middle of the pond. It emitted a shocking amount of spiritual qi and life essence. There was a blade of grass in the middle of the spring. The blade of grass had thin and long leaves. It had 8 leaves and each of them was like a sword. The leaves were emerald green. There is a blade of grass in the 100 Gods slope. How magical. Plus, I can feel that this blade of grass is emitting an extremely powerful sword intent. Lu Ming seemed to be in deep thought. Perhaps there was a supreme being's body that fell here. Its original essence turned into this pool of spring water, and its original will turned into this sword-shaped plant. Incredible. These 2 things are incredible. This clear spring contains a powerful life essence. It can cultivate top-tier spiritual medicine. And this blade of grass, if a sword cultivator touches it, he or she will definitely treat it like a treasure. He or she will be able to comprehend the sword Tao from it. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He was extremely excited. After that, Lu Ming took out a jade box. He carefully placed the clear spring and the blade of grass into the jade box. There was not even a drop of spring water left in the small pond. Wait, I wonder if cultivating spiritual medicine will work on the 2 branches? Lu Ming's heart stirred. He suddenly thought of the 2 pieces of withered branches that shot out from the heavenly gates. The 2 branches appeared in his hands. He then placed the 2 branches into the clear spring in the jade box and soaked them in it. Let's wait for a while and see if it will work. Lu Ming smiled and kept the jade box in the Temple of Paragon. After that, Lu Ming continued to move forward. In the blink of an eye, 1.5 months had passed since Lu Ming entered the 100 Gods slope. In this period of time, Lu Ming had encountered a wisp of wind intent and a wisp of fire intent. Lu Ming's understanding of the wind intent had improved again. As for the fire intent, it had improved and he had comprehended a wisp of the fire intent. Lu Ming's fire intent had finally reached the intent level. Chapter 450. For the rest of the time, Lu Ming searched for the intent realm while comprehending the 3rd level of the 3 ultimate skills of the Dragon God. Although he couldn't use true qi in the 100 Gods slope and couldn't use the 3 ultimate skills of the Dragon God, it didn't hinder him from comprehending it. As long as he could comprehend it, he would be able to successfully cultivate it after leaving the 100 Gods slope. 2 days later. While Lu Ming was running, he suddenly noticed a young man running in front of him. That young man looked to be around 27 or 28 years old. He had a stocky build and looked very strong. Obviously he also saw Lu Ming. His eyes flashed and he continued running, disappearing in front of him. Looking at his age, he should be the previous batch of DT Divine Guards. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. This was the first time he met someone else after entering the 100 Gods slope. Those who could enter the 100 Gods slope were definitely not simple. They were either geniuses or had strong backing. Lu Ming pondered for a moment and didn't think too much about it. He continued to search while comprehending the 3 ultimate skills of the Dragon God. On the 2nd day, Lu Ming came to a desert with howling winds. In this desert, the winds were fierce and incessant, stirring up sand and dust. Lu Ming didn't have true qi to protect his body. He could only circulate the power of the wind to block the surrounding winds. Chirp, chirp. Suddenly, Lu Ming heard a bird chirping in front of him. Bird chirping? Lu Ming was stunned. The 100 Gods slope could be said to be barren and dead silent. How could there be birds? Lu Ming was very curious. He followed the sound and searched. That is, not long later Lu Ming stopped and looked at the sky in shock. 100 meters high in the sky there was a round pearl. The round pearl was green in color and crystal clear, as if it was made of the most beautiful green jade. On the surface of the round pearl, there was a small green bird. It was flying around the round pearl and letting out chirping sounds. Lu Ming could tell at a glance that the green bird wasn't a real bird, but an illusion created by the round pearl. Could this be the weapon spirit of a spirit weapon? A spirit weapon giving birth to an artifact spirit. What level was this spirit weapon? Moreover, it has such a rich concept of wind. This is definitely a supreme weapon. Aha, I'm rich. Lu Ming was ecstatic. If he could obtain such a spirit weapon, it would have endless uses. Lu Ming approached cautiously. His body emitted the concept of wind, wanting to draw the bead down. Chirp, chirp. When Lu Ming approached, the little green bird clearly noticed Lu Ming. It let out a crisp chirp and blinked its large eyes curiously, sizing up Lu Ming. Lu Ming revolved the concept of wind and approached the bead. When the little bird came into contact with Lu Ming's concept of wind, its eyes revealed a friendly expression. He seemed to enjoy Lu Ming's aura very much. Haha, there's hope. Lu Ming was overjoyed. He exerted even more effort to display the concept of wind. Brat scram. This bead is mine. At this moment, a cold shout sounded. A tall and burly young man strode over. Lu Ming's gaze turned cold. This young man was the young man he met yesterday. At this moment, the burly young man's eyes were filled with greed as he stared fixedly at the bead. Immediately, a surge of concept of wind also erupted from his body. It was so deep that it was even above Lu Ming's. Brat, disperse your concept of wind. Let me do it. The burly young man berated, his tone full of command. Idiot. Lu Ming said indifferently. He then ignored the other party and concentrated on controlling the concept of wind. At this moment, the little bird was bathing in Lu Ming's concept of wind. It seemed to be enjoying it very much. A pair of small wings flapped and flew towards Lu Ming with the bead. Success. Lu Ming was ecstatic. The little bird flying towards him meant that it approved of him. Damn it. Seeing this, the burly young man shouted angrily, this bead is mine. You want it? Dream on. Boom. A powerful concept of wind rushed towards the bead. Boom. The burly young man's concept of wind collided with Lu Ming's concept of wind, giving off a violent roar. Lu Ming's concept of wind trembled and dissipated with a bang. The little green bird seemed to be frightened. It screamed and flapped its wings, flying towards the sky with the bead. Where do you think you're going? The burly young man roared. He bent his legs and the muscles all over his body exploded. His burly figure soared into the sky and grabbed at the bead. Damn it. At this moment, Lu Ming roared. He stepped on the ground and his figure also soared into the sky, rushing towards the bead. Chirp, chirp. The little bird screamed and flapped its small wings rapidly. Gusts of wind emerged. The little bird and the bead turned into a green light and rushed forward, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Lu Ming and the burly young man fell rapidly and landed on the desert, creating two large pits. Damn it. Lu Ming roared angrily. His eyes flashed with cold killing intent. The bead that was about to be in his hands was destroyed by the burly young man just like that. Lu Ming's heart was bleeding. That bead was absolutely extraordinary. It was a weapon used by a peerless expert who cultivated the concept of wind. If Lu Ming could obtain it and comprehend the concept of wind on it, his concept of wind would definitely advance by leaps and bounds. It would not be impossible for him to condense concept runes in a short time. But now it was all gone. His killing intent towards the burly young man could be imagined. Kid, what are you shouting for? I haven't questioned you yet. Kid, I told you to disperse the concept of wind and let me do it. Why didn't you do as I said? Now that I've lost this supreme treasure, tell me how are you going to compensate me for my loss? The burly young man stared at Lu Ming with a gloomy expression. His killing intent flickered. Compensate you? Ah. Lu Ming was so angry that he started laughing. He was the one who discovered it and was about to get it, but it was destroyed by the burly young man. Now, the burly young man actually wanted him to compensate. What a joke. I'll compensate you for your head. Idiot, today you must die. Lu Ming's eyes were cold as he strode towards the burly young man. Ah, you want to kill me? What a joke. This is the 100 deities slope. Cultivation is suppressed here, but the physical body is superior. My physical body has already reached the 5th grade greater realm, surpassing some kings. You want to kill me? You're the one who will die. The burly young man laughed wildly. His muscles bulged as he took a step forward. His body rushed towards Lu Ming as he threw out a punch at the same time. Boom. Lu Ming threw out a punch as well, aiming at the burly young man's fist. You still dare to compete with me? You're courting death. Shatter. The burly young man revealed a hideous smile. He wanted to shatter Lu Ming's fist with one punch and make him lie on the ground and wail in pain. The two fists slammed into each other. Crack. As the burly young man wished, the sound of bones breaking could be heard. However, the burly young man's face did not have any trace of ferocity or excitement. There was only fear and disbelief. Chapter 451. The burly young man's face was completely squeezed together. His face was twisted with endless pain. Bang. Lu Ming's fist surged with terrifying power and erupted with a loud bang. The burly young man's fist exploded like tofu dregs. Ah! The burly young man's body retreated frantically as he let out a hysterical scream. The two punched each other. It was not Lu Ming's fist that exploded, but the burly young man's. Now go to hell. Lu Ming's eyes were cold as he strode toward the burly young man. Ah, what are you doing? What are you doing? The burly young man screamed like a frightened little girl. He was no longer as arrogant as before. At this moment, there was only fear in his heart. The strength of Lu Ming's physical body was beyond his imagination. It was definitely above grade 6. His physical body had reached grade 6 before he became a martial king. How did he cultivate? What am I doing? Didn't you hear me? I'll send you to hell. Lu Ming's murderous intent was as cold as the snow in winter. It was bone-chilling. No, you can't kill me. I'm the son of the protector of Wind Palace. If you kill me, my father will not let you go. The burly young man roared. Haha, there are only the two of us here. If I kill you, how will your father know? Since you intervened to seize the bead, your fate has been sealed. Go to hell. Bang. Lu Ming took a step forward and threw a punch. The physical body of a grade 6 upper realm expert was extremely terrifying. The punch shook the air like a falling meteorite. With a terrifying force, it blasted toward the burly young man. No, no. The burly young man roared, but it was impossible for him to dodge. He could only wave his other fist to block Lu Ming. Crack. The two fists collided. The burly young man's other fist also exploded like tofu. Ah, my hand, my hand. The burly young man screamed miserably. His face was completely distorted and tears and snot flowed down his face. His whole body was trembling, his legs were shaking and his pants were wet. He was so scared that he peed. Regret, incomparable regret. If he had known this would happen, he would not have snatched the bead. Originally, he thought that with his rank 5 physical body, he would be able to suppress Lu Ming. He had never expected Lu Ming to be so strong. Don't kill me, don't kill me, don't kill me, I know I was wrong, I know I was wrong. The burly young man staggered backward, begging as he retreated. Bang. In the next moment, a terrifying fist energy struck his chest. The violent fist energy directly penetrated his body and shattered his heart. The burly young man's eyeballs popped out of their sockets and blood gushed out of his mouth. His face was filled with remorse and in the next moment he died. Lu Ming swiped his hand and took off the burly young man's storage ring. I'm so unlucky to have met this guy and let a peerless treasure escape. No, I have to keep chasing. Maybe I can catch up. Thinking of this, Lu Ming ran dozens of meters in one step, chasing in the direction where the bead flew. This chase went on for over 1,000 miles. However, he still did not see any trace of the bead. Ah, my precious bead. Lu Ming wanted to shout. However, Lu Ming was not willing to give up. He gritted his teeth and continued to chase. However, this time Lu Ming stopped in less than 100 miles. Rumble. Buzz. In front of him there was a deafening roar. Endless lightning flashed as if it was going to destroy heaven and earth. There was a sea of thunder. Endless thunder and lightning flashed everywhere like thunder snakes. It was extremely terrifying. There was a cauldron. The cauldron was simple and unadorned. It was as big as a mountain suspended between heaven and earth. The endless lightning was emitted by this giant cauldron. In the sky there were dark clouds. Between the dark clouds there was a pool. In the pool there was water constantly flowing down. The strange thing was that the water was blood red. It was like the water of the ocean, spreading toward the giant cauldron. The giant cauldron kept emitting lightning to bombard the blood-red water, but it was useless. The blood-red water kept hitting the giant cauldron. The giant cauldron was rumbling and shaking. The lightning on the cauldron was decreasing and the light became dim. Tribulation, this is tribulation. This giant cauldron is actually undergoing tribulation. Lu Ming was dumbfounded. Although Lu Ming did not know what tribulation the pool in the sky was, it was definitely a heavenly tribulation. There were many kinds of heavenly tribulations. Lu Ming only knew a few common ones. A giant cauldron was actually undergoing tribulation. Lu Ming found it unbelievable. Rumble. The pool in the sky tilted slightly. Endless blood-red water poured down like the water of the ocean. The sky rumbled and rushed toward the giant cauldron. Then, the giant cauldron shook. The incomparably huge cauldron emitted lightning that was thicker than a bucket, trying to repel the blood-red water. Unfortunately, although the lightning was terrifying, the blood-red water seemed to be able to restrain it. The lightning had no effect on the blood-red water. Rumble. The blood-red water kept hitting the cauldron. The giant cauldron kept shaking as if it could not take it anymore. This giant cauldron is definitely like the bead from before. It's a supreme treasure. If I can get it, I'll be rich. Unfortunately, this heavenly tribulation is too terrifying. If I go in, I'll probably be washed away by the blood-red water and not even dregs will be left. Lu Ming thought to himself. He could only watch and feel anxious. At this time, the giant cauldron shook even more violently. The lightning it emitted was also decreasing. It seemed like it could not hold on any longer. Right at this moment, a sudden change occurred. The stone egg that had been hanging on Lu Ming's hair suddenly flew out. It emitted a bright light and rushed toward the pool in the sky. In the process of flying, the stone egg became bigger and bigger. In the end, it became bigger than a mountain. A crack appeared on the eggshell like a huge mouth and bit toward the pool. Rumble. The pool seemed to be alarmed. It shook slightly. Heaven and earth roared. Endless blood rushed out of the pool and rushed toward the stone egg. However, the stone egg shone and was not afraid at all. It rushed over and appeared above the pool. At the next moment, the stone egg opened its mouth and bit. Crack. Half of the pool was directly bitten. At this moment, the whole world shook violently. It was as if the heavens were angry and were about to destroy the world. However, at the next moment, crack. The stone egg opened its mouth again and directly swallowed the remaining half of the pool. Heaven and earth suddenly calmed down. Whoosh. The stone egg shone and quickly shrank. It flew back to Lu Ming's hair and hung on it as if nothing had happened. Lu Ming was dumbfounded. It took him a long time to react. Nest, what is this thing? It even swallowed the pool of the heavenly tribulation. Isn't this too heaven-defying? Lu Ming stared and muttered to himself. Although he knew that Dandan was extraordinary, this was indeed shocking. Clang. The carefree feeling of rapid improvement fascinated him, and he became even more focused on comprehending. As time passed, Lu Ming's lightning force increased at a terrifying speed. Thunder force. Early stage of great accomplishment, middle stage of great accomplishment, late stage of great accomplishment. In a mere 5 days' time, Lu Ming's lightning momentum rushed to the grand completion stage in one stroke. However, Lu Ming did not have any intention of stopping. The state of thunder in the surroundings was simply too high quality. It was definitely not a first-grade state of thunder. It was many times higher than the first-grade state of thunder that a martial king comprehended. To comprehend in such an environment for someone who was still in the realm of force, the speed of improvement was terrifying. It was just like a person earning money. When one had no capital, it would be difficult to earn tens of thousands of yuan. But when you have millions or tens of millions, is it still difficult to earn tens of thousands of yuan? It wouldn't be difficult. Lu Ming continued to cultivate, trying to break through to the intent realm. After Xiao Chen's state of thunder reached perfection, his speed of improvement started to slow down. However, that was only compared to before. Compared to others, he was still many times faster. Awesome, this is too awesome. I wonder what level the owner of this lightning cauldron is. I heard that even martial emperors would die if they came here. Could it be that they have surpassed the martial emperor realm? Lu Ming thought to himself. Surpassed the martial emperor? Lu Ming simply did not dare to imagine it. In the divine desolate continent, martial monarchs were the peak experts. They ruled over an area and their might shook the world. No one could defeat them. Was there really an existence that surpassed martial monarchs in the world? Lu Ming found it hard to imagine. No wonder. I heard that someone once obtained an inheritance at the 100 God slope and became an expert that could move unhindered in the divine desolate continent. It is really possible. Lu Ming thought for a while before continuing to comprehend. Half a month, after only half a month, the power of thunder had undergone a qualitative change. It broke through the shackles in one move, transforming from state to intent realm. Thunder concept. Lu Ming had comprehended the thunder concept in one go. Ah! I really did not expect that I would comprehend the state of thunder so quickly. Now I have comprehended the state of thunder for wind, fire, and thunder. What I need to do now is to merge the state of thunder with the state of wind and fire. Once the three states are merged, the three ultimate skills of the Dragon God will immediately transform into a superior grade heaven-ranked martial technique. Then my combat prowess will reach a horrifying level. At that time, how many battles will I be able to fight? 9 battles. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Legend had it that 9 was the limit. No matter how powerful the geniuses of the divine desolate continent were, they could only reach 9 battles at most. It was impossible to break that limit. It was like a rule. Legend had it that a 9-battle genius had the potential to become a martial monarch. Lu Ming felt great anticipation in his heart. For now, Lu Ming put aside the matter of comprehending the state of thunder. Then he focused on merging the 3 states. Unfortunately, merging the 3 states was too difficult. The difficulty of merging the states increased tremendously with each additional state. Right now, merging the 3 states was even more difficult than merging the state of wind and fire. Fortunately, Lu Ming already had experience in merging the states. He could avoid many detours. However, he could not merge them in a short time. While Lu Ming was doing his best to merge the 3 states, a horrifying electric light suddenly burst out from a courtyard in the Thunder Palace in the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace. The electric light soared into the sky, and dark clouds immediately covered the sky. Lightning flashed and thunder roared. This time, countless people were alarmed. Heavenly tribulation. That is a heavenly tribulation. Someone is undergoing a tribulation to break through to Martial King. Who is it? It should be Xueqiao. Previously, I heard that he was in closed-door cultivation to break through to Martial King. Incredible. I wonder if he can succeed or not. Rumble. Following that, lightning flashed and thunder roared. A heavenly flame descended, and a tribulation descended. Half an hour later, the dark clouds scattered, and a loud roar shook the sky. Following that, a purple figure soared into the sky from the Thunder Palace. As he hovered in the air, lightning flickered around him, filling him with a disdainful aura. Really is Xueqiao. He broke through to Martial King. The Thunder Palace Master has another Martial King expert under his wing. How envious. He became a Martial King transcending mortality, and has a lifespan of 1,000 years. I have to work hard. Discussions rang out in the surroundings. Most of them were filled with envy. Whoosh. Chapter 453. Haha, junior brother Chio, as long as you work hard, you'll definitely be able to enter the king realm within 10 years. The purple-clothed young man, Xueqiao, laughed loudly, feeling extremely pleased with himself. Senior brother, please guide me in the future. Chiu Changkong said. Oh. Xueqiao nodded his head in satisfaction and said, Oh right, where's Lu Ming? I've already broken through to the Martial King realm and killing him is as easy as killing an ant. I'll find a chance to deal with him. Xueqiao placed his hands behind his back and looked disdainfully at the world. Lu Ming seems to have gone out some time ago. Chiu Changkong's eyes flashed with a cold light. Oh, he went out? He's lucky. I'll let him live for a while longer. Junior brother Chiu, find someone to keep an eye on him. Once Lu Ming returns, inform me as soon as possible. Xueqiao said. Thank you, senior brother. Chiu Changkong was overjoyed. In the 100 God slope, Lu Ming was trying his best to merge the 3 forces. Time flew by and in the blink of an eye, another month had passed. Although he had made great progress in the merging of the 3 wills, he was still lacking a little and it was difficult to merge them completely. At this time, the 3-month deadline of the 100 God slope was about to arrive. Lu Ming left the Temple of Paragon and rushed out with all his might. His speed was much faster and 2 days later, Lu Ming was out of the 100 God slope. Once out of the 100 God slope, Lu Ming's genuine qi immediately recovered. It was like a surging river, surging vigorously and reaching its peak. I didn't expect that after being suppressed for 3 months, there would still be progress. Now that I've reached the limit of the martial ancestor realm, I've comprehended the wills of wind, fire and thunder. When I return, I can start refining my genuine qi. Whoosh! Lu Ming soared into the sky and flew towards the myriad star city. 2 hours later, Lu Ming entered the Emperor God Palace and returned to the East Sky Courtyard. Lu Ming is finally back. A deep voice came from the clouds not far away. Then a figure flashed and disappeared. East Sky Courtyard. Now I'll start refining my genuine qi with the 3 wills. Lu Ming sat down cross-legged. Boom, boom, boom. 3 powerful intents burst forth, but they disappeared in a flash. Lu Ming controlled the 3 intents and dissolved them in his dantian. Bang, bang, bang. Then the 3 wills struck the vortex as if they were hammering iron. The cyclone vibrated and sparks flew out of it. Bang, bang, bang. Lu Ming continued to control the 3 types of essence of heaven and earth, bombarding the cyclone continuously. Sparks flew out from the impact. They were genuine qi. Genuine qi's as steel iron. His true qi was like mixed iron, and his true essence was like fine steel. If it wasn't for the concept of heaven and earth, there was no other way to achieve this. Once one reached the peak of the 9th layer martial ancestor realm, one's qi would be extremely condensed. It would be extremely difficult to temper it, was to refine it. To refine. Fortunately, Lu Ming cultivated 3 types of heaven and earth concept at the same time. The tempering effect was many times stronger than that of a single concept. It was not as simple as multiplying it by 3. Bang. The 3 wills continued to bombard the heavens and earth. Sparks flew in all directions. At the same time there were dragon roars. Half an hour later the qi whirlpool shook violently. Then a crystal-like liquid floated out. Genuine qi. Aha, I finally refined a strand of genuine qi. Afterward, Lu Ming put in more effort to temper. After the first strand of genuine qi was born, the rest was much easier. Genuine qi continued to be refined. 2 hours later, the genuine qi in the qi whirlpool and meridians had been refined into crystal-like genuine qi. However, Lu Ming discovered a fact. The amount of quintessential essence was too little. It was less than 1% of the previous quintessential energy. Transforming genuine qi to genuine qi was like transforming force to intent. It was a qualitative improvement. Genuine qi was dozens of times more condensed than genuine qi. Of course, it was much more powerful. Once the genuine qi was refined into genuine qi, only 1 out of 100 could be refined. Lu Ming felt empty in his dantian and meridians. Supreme-grade spiritual crystals. Lu Ming waved his hand and 5,000 supreme-grade spiritual crystals appeared beside him. Explode! Lu Ming shouted. Bang, bang, bang. All 5,000 supreme-grade spiritual crystals exploded. The 9 dragons' bloodline opened its mouth and swallowed. The spiritual qi of heaven and earth flowed into the 9 dragons' bloodline's mouth like a tide. It then turned into genuine qi and flowed into Lu Ming's body. It replenished Lu Ming's genuine qi. Soon, Lu Ming's body was filled with genuine qi again. Continue refining. Then Lu Ming began refining again. After the genuine qi turned into genuine qi, more genuine qi flowed into the 9 dragons' bloodline. The proportion of genuine qi in Lu Ming's body increased. 1%, 2%, 3%. Soon, all 5,000 supreme-grade spiritual crystals had been used up. Lu Ming took out another 5,000 supreme-grade spiritual crystals. The process of refining genuine qi consumed a lot of supreme-grade spiritual crystals. Therefore, Lu Ming had already exchanged for supreme-grade spiritual crystals. Refining went on like crazy. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. In 3 days, Lu Ming had used up all his supreme-grade spiritual crystals. At this time, Lu Ming's genuine qi had only reached 50%. Horrifying. It was really horrifying. Lu Ming had a total of 45,000 supreme-grade spirit crystals. The energy required by the true dragon fighting skill is too terrifying. An ordinary person would need at most 10,000 supreme-grade spiritual crystals. But I need so much. It's too terrifying. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. It seems that I still need to get a batch of supreme-grade spiritual crystals. Lu Ming sighed. In fact, it was possible to absorb the spiritual qi of heaven and earth and refine it slowly. However, that would take too long and Lu Ming could not afford it. Supreme-grade spiritual crystals. How can I get enough of them? Lu Ming thought hard. Previously, he had already sold everything he could and exchanged them for supreme-grade spiritual crystals. Now he didn't have much left to sell. I got some dragon grass in the dragon's cave. I wanted to keep it to cultivate the true dragon fighting skill. Now that the true dragon fighting skill has reached level 9, it is no longer useful. I can sell it. Also, I can sell the sword-shaped herb I got at the 100 Gods slope. I can definitely sell it for a good price. Lu Ming thought. Alright, that guy's storage ring. He thought of the storage ring of the burly young man he killed at the 100 Gods slope. He immediately opened it to take a look. Lu Ming was overjoyed when he saw it. There were 10,000 supreme-grade spiritual crystals. There were also some other things that could be worth at least 1,000 supreme-grade spiritual crystals. That burly young man was the son of a guardian of the Wind Palace. It was normal for him to have so many supreme-grade spiritual crystals. He probably saved them to refine his genuine chi. Now all of them were given to Lu Ming. Let's go to the rare treasure house. Chapter 454. Lu Ming left the eastern sky courtyard and soared into the sky, heading towards the mystical treasure house. Lu Ming finally left the eastern sky courtyard. Looking at his direction, he should be heading towards the mystical treasure house. Quickly send a message to senior brother Shui. As soon as Lu Ming left the eastern sky courtyard, a youth appeared in the clouds in the distance. He took out a 1,000-mile sound transmission talisman and sent a message. Lu Ming did not use his fastest speed because there were many people in the sky. If he was too fast, it would be easy for him to get into trouble. After a while, the mystical treasure house came into view. Lu Ming. Just at this moment, a cold shout reverberated between heaven and earth. Lu Ming furrowed his brows and turned around. Behind him, 2 youths were flying towards him. Seeing the 2 of them, Lu Ming furrowed his brows. Qiu Changkong, and it's actually him? Lu Ming's eyes flickered. One of them was Qiu Changkong. As for the other, Lu Ming recognized him with a single glance. He was the same youth who had sent the invitation letter to the Divine Guard selection at the Mystic Origin Sword Sect. Qiu Changkong and Shui Chao instantly arrived in front of Lu Ming. Why did the 2 of you call for me? Lu Ming asked indifferently. What's the matter? Ah, Lu Ming, you seem to have forgotten quickly. More than 3 months ago, you contradicted the Thunder Palace Master in front of everyone in the Thunder Palace. That was simply outrageous. I don't mind telling you, I'm the Lightning Palace Master's 3rd disciple, Shui Chao. Today I'll seek justice for my master. Shui Chao's face was gloomy as he stared at Lu Ming and shouted. His voice was very loud and it spread far and wide. Even the people in the mystical treasure house were alarmed. That's Shui Chao and Lu Ming. I heard that 3 months ago, Lu Ming disrespected the Lightning Palace Master. Looks like Shui Chao is going to find trouble with Lu Ming. Isn't that right? Lu Ming is arrogant. He's finished this time. There's a good show to watch. Ear-piercing sounds continued to ring out as hundreds of people surrounded them. Seek justice? Lu Ming's lips curled into a cold smile as he laughed loudly. What a joke. That day, I followed the normal procedure and went to the Thunder Hall to listen to the lecture. But, the Thunder Hall Master wanted to chase me away for no reason. How could I not go against such an action? There's a saying that goes, if the Emperor breaks the law, he will be punished the same as the commoners. So what if it's the Thunder Palace Master? If he's wrong, why can't I say anything? Presumptuous, arrogant, Shui Chao shouted. His gaze was threatening as he said, Lu Ming, how audacious. My master is the Thunder Hall Master and has made great contributions to the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace. He has a venerated status and is not someone that an ant like you can go against. You still dare to boast shamelessly and disrespect my master. My master is open-minded and won't lower himself to your level. However, as his disciple, I can't just sit by and watch. Today, I will teach you a lesson on behalf of my master. Boom. After speaking, an incomparably terrifying aura erupted from Shui Chao's body. This aura was so powerful that it caused even the space to tremble slightly. Some people on the side couldn't withstand this aura and frantically retreated. This was the aura of a king, the pressure of a king. Lu Ming's pupils constricted. Back in the Mystic Essence Sword Sect, Shui Chao was clearly only a half-step king. Who would have thought that after not seeing him for a while, Shui Chao had already broken through to the king realm? Being able to break through to the king realm at this age was already very rare. Rumble. The king realm aura was like an ancient divine mountain as it pressed down on Lu Ming. Lu Ming's figure moved slightly as he resisted this pressure. Shui Chao is going to make a move. Lu Ming is finished. Serves him right. Lu Ming is so arrogant and self-righteous. I already expected that he would suffer. Now Shui Chao is teaching Lu Ming a lesson on behalf of his master. It's reasonable. As a person, it's better to keep a low profile. Otherwise you won't even know how you died. If he wasn't so self-righteous and didn't dream of cultivating several intents at the same time, he would have already taken the Wind Palace Master as his master. If he took the Wind Palace Master as his master, Xueqiao wouldn't dare to make things difficult for him. He only has himself to blame. Many people who disliked Lu Ming gloated over his misfortune and made sarcastic remarks. Lu Ming, kneel down and admit your mistake. I can forgive you. Xueqiao shouted as he took a step forward. Rumble. The heaven and earth shook as the space rumbled. Xueqiao's step seemed to have 100 million pounds of force. With this step, the aura on his body became even stronger. Lu Ming, hurry up and kneel down and admit your mistake. Beg my senior brother to forgive you. On the side, Qiu Changkong also shouted. Qiu Changkong, do you want to die? Lu Ming's eyes turned cold as he looked at Qiu Changkong with eyes filled with killing intent. Immediately, Qiu Changkong felt his body go cold and his scalp go numb. He subconsciously took a few steps back. Coward. Lu Ming smiled faintly. Lu Ming, you want to die. Qiu Changkong came to his senses and his face turned red. He pointed at Lu Ming and shouted crazily. You're a mad dog. Lu Ming glanced at Qiu Changkong and then looked at Xueqiao. With a wave of his hand, a long spear appeared in his hand. Whoosh. The tip of the spear pointed at Xueqiao and said, cut the crap. If you want to fight, let's fight. Aha, you want to fight with me? Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Xueqiao laughed. Countless lightning bolts surrounded his body and he looked like a thunder god. Stop. At this moment, a loud roar was heard. Rumble. In the sky, a tall figure suddenly appeared. His body was emitting a terrifying aura. This aura was so oppressive that the crowd almost couldn't breathe. How can you fight near the mystical treasure restaurant? If you want to fight, go to the Divine Guard's platform. The tall figure roared furiously. Guardian. Seeing this figure, Xueqiao's face turned grave. There were 9 halls in the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace and each hall only had 3 guardians. Each of them was extremely powerful. Although Xueqiao had broken through to the Martial King realm, he still had to behave in front of the guardians. I'll leave my words here. If you continue to fight here, I won't hold back. The protector said coldly. Then, with a flicker of his body, he disappeared from the place. Damn it. Lu Ming, you're lucky today. I'll let you off for now. However, there will be a time when you leave the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace. At that time, I'll teach you a lesson. Xueqiao snorted coldly with an ugly face. I'm lucky? Hee Xueqiao, you came to find trouble with me and now you want to leave? How can there be such a good thing in the world? Lu Ming said flatly. Lu Ming, what do you mean? Do you want to fight with me? Xueqiao sneered. That's right. Xueqiao, I'm officially challenging you now. Do you dare to fight with me at the Divine Guard's platform? Lu Ming shouted as he pointed his spear at Xueqiao. His voice swept out in all directions like a storm. The scene was in an uproar. What? Lu Ming took the initiative to challenge Xueqiao? Did I hear it wrong? Crazy. Lu Ming is crazy. Is he blind? Can't he see that Xueqiao is already a martial king? How dare he challenge him? Chapter 455. Someone below the King Realm actually dared to challenge a King Realm cultivator. If he wasn't crazy, then he must have eaten a flood dragon's gallbladder. Since ancient times, those below the King Realm who dared to challenge a King Realm cultivator were as rare as phoenix feathers and unicorn horns. Almost everyone thought that Lu Ming must have been blinded by his own arrogance. Even Xueqiao himself was stunned. After a while, he reacted and said in a daze, What? What did you say? You want to challenge me? That's right. Don't tell me you don't dare to accept the challenge? Lu Ming said. Don't dare to accept the challenge? Aha, alright, I accept your challenge. I'll accept it 10,000 times. Xueqiao was almost shouting. He was too excited. He never thought that Lu Ming would actually challenge him. Was there something wrong with his head? Originally, the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace had a rule that kings couldn't challenge martial artists below the King Realm. This was because the gap between them was too big. There was no suspense at all. It would be a one-sided slaughter. Even if a King Realm cultivator took the initiative to challenge, martial artists below the King Realm could also reject. Therefore, when he was stopped by the Guardian, he felt helpless and didn't take the initiative to challenge Lu Ming. In his opinion, even if he challenged, Lu Ming would reject. Never in his wildest dreams would he expect that Lu Ming would challenge him. Wasn't this exactly what he wanted? At the side, Qiu Changkong was so excited that his whole body was trembling. He kept shouting in his heart, courting death. Ha! Lu Ming is courting death. In that case, let's fight at the Divine Guard's platform. After saying that, Lu Ming took the lead and flew towards the Divine Guard's platform. Xue Chao and Qiu Changkong hurriedly followed, as if they were afraid that Lu Ming would run away. There's a good show to watch. Quickly send a voice transmission and ask Junior Brother to come and watch. It's rare to see someone below the King Realm challenging a King Realm cultivator. Quick, send a voice transmission too. The hundreds of people present all sent voice transmissions to those they were familiar with, asking them to come and watch. Then they followed Lu Ming and flew towards the Divine Guard's platform. Swish! The space trembled and a tall figure appeared. It was the Guardian from before. Interesting, let's go and watch. In the next moment the figure disappeared. As Lu Ming flew, his eyes revealed a strong fighting spirit. The reason why he challenged Xue Chao was not because he was hot-headed, but because he had thought it through carefully. He had a crazy plan in his mind. He planned to use Xue Chao's power to fuse the three concepts of wind, fire, and thunder. Yes, he needed external help. In the past he had experienced the same thing. The reason why he had been able to successfully fuse the power of wind and fire was because he had relied on Qiu Changlia's pressure to fuse them together. He wanted to repeat the same trick. And Xue Chao was undoubtedly a very good target. With Lu Ming's current strength he could kill a bunch of ordinary half-step kings with one move. It was not challenging at all. However, he had no confidence in challenging those veteran kings. As for Xue Chao, it was obvious that he had just broken through to the King Realm. His strength was not considered strong among the King Realm, and he was just right for a fight. Soon the Divine Guards arrived. In a flicker, Lu Ming appeared on the Divine Guard platform. Xue Chao also descended from the Divine Guard platform. Bus. Right at this moment, the space suddenly shook and then several figures appeared in the sky. Palace Lords, the Palace Lords have arrived. Wind Palace Lord, Fire Palace Lord, Thunder Palace Lord, and Metal Palace Lord. 4 Palace Lords have come at once. It's rare for a King Realm cultivator to challenge a King Realm cultivator, so it's normal for the Palace Lords to come. The arrival of the Palace Lords in the sky immediately caused a burst of exclamations. Ah, you guys are fast. A loud laugh sounded as another figure appeared in the sky. This figure was tall and sturdy. Although he had a head of white hair, he still looked spirited. Earth Palace Lord has also arrived. Someone shouted. 5 of the 9 Palace Lords had arrived, which was more than half of them. Disciple greets Master. Seeing Thunder Palace Lord arrive, Xue Chao revealed a joyful expression. He flew into the sky and saluted Thunder Palace Lord. Well, I already know the whole story. Since Lu Ming is so arrogant and conceited, then you should teach him a good lesson so that he will remember. Thunder Palace Lord said indifferently. Yes, Master. Xue Chao revealed a joyful expression as he descended from the battle platform. Whoosh, whoosh. At this moment, air-rending sounds could be heard as figures rushed over from all directions of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace like ants. After a while, more than 10,000 people had appeared near the Divine Guard battle platform. This showed how big of a commotion this challenge had caused. Ah, Lu Ming, you should feel honored that so many people have come to see you get beaten up. Xue Chao laughed. We haven't fought yet, so I advise you not to be too happy. If you lose to me you will be embarrassed. Lu Ming smiled faintly. Lose to you? Ah, Lu Ming, you really can think of that. You must be out of your mind. There's no such possibility. Xue Chao laughed maniacally. Is that so? Lu Ming smiled faintly as he suddenly smiled. Xue Chao, how about this? Since you are so confident, why don't we make a bet? Bet? What do you want to bet? Xue Chao's eyes lit up. If Lu Ming wanted to bet with him, wouldn't that be giving him money? How could he not agree? I'll bet with you with this. Lu Ming waved his hand and a sword-shaped herb appeared in the air, floating in front of Lu Ming. Once the sword-shaped herb appeared, it emitted a terrifying sword intent. Clang, clang, clang. The 9 leaves of the sword-shaped herb were like divine swords as they emitted a clanging sound. 9 rays of sword light shot up into the sky. Even Lu Ming himself was dumbfounded. Previously, the sword-shaped herb did not have such a phenomenon in the 100 Gods slope. He did not expect it to emit such a horrifying phenomenon, which was beyond Lu Ming's expectations. The others in the surroundings were dumbstruck as well, and they were flabbergasted. What kind of spiritual herb is this? How could it cause such a phenomenon? Such a powerful sword intent. It's too powerful and mysterious. One of my sword skills is showing signs of a breakthrough. Treasure. This is a real treasure. Around him, some people let out excited roars. Boom, boom. Just then, the 5 palace lords emitted a horrifying wave of energy as they stared at the sword-shaped herb with their eyes wide open. This is, after the death of a supreme expert, his sword will didn't dissipate. After thousands of years, it can only be born by chance. It contains a trace of the supreme expert's sword Dao. The palace lord of wind said with a trembling voice. Treasure. A supreme treasure. The palace lord of fire also said with a trembling voice. How could this kid have such a treasure? I must get it. The palace lord of thunder's eyes were filled with greed. Lu Ming, how about selling this sword-shaped herb to me? I'll give you 60,000 spiritual crystals. The palace lord of gold was the first to speak. 60,000 spiritual crystals? Old Monster Gene, you are dreaming. I'll give you 80,000 spiritual crystals. The palace lord of fire shouted. Lu Ming, I'll give you 100,000 spiritual crystals to buy your sword-shaped herb. Chapter 456. The surrounding people were once again dumbfounded. The battle had not even started yet, but the leaders had already started to fight over the plant that Lu Ming had taken out. And the price had reached a horrifying 100,000 spirit crystals, which had made a lot of people's souls shiver. 100,000 spirit crystals. What kind of concept was that? A lot of people would not even be able to see that many spirit crystals in their lifetime. The Thunder Palace leader stood on the side with a gloomy face. He also wanted to bid, but he could not bring himself to do so. But he really wanted to get the plant. But if Lu Ming sold it to one of the leaders, then he would have no hope at all. Seniors. Right then, Lu Ming suddenly held his fists together toward the leaders in the sky. His clear voice was heard. Seniors, I am a man of my words. I have said before that I would use this plant as a prize. So I will definitely do it. After I win, I will sell it to you. Hearing him, all the leaders shook their heads and sighed. Around them, most of the people were cursing Lu Ming for being such an idiot. The leaders had offered such a high price and he still did not want to sell it. Instead, he wanted to sell it after he won? Was that even possible? Xueqiao's luck is way too good. This Lu Ming is just an idiot. He still wants to win against Xueqiao? There is no chance of that happening. Lu Ming was not even a half-step king warrior when he was in the DT on Divine Guard exam. Even if he managed to break through during this period of time, he would still not be Xueqiao's opponent. The difference between half-step king warriors and king warriors is just too big. Even the most powerful martial geniuses would not be able to make it through. Indeed. Since the ancient times, there were very few people who were able to fight against king warriors as half-step king warriors. Those kind of people, as long as they grew up, would all become powerful figures. In the east of the Tianxian region, there was only one person who managed to beat a king warrior as a half-step king warrior. That was the peerless martial genius from 100 years ago. You are talking about Yan Kuangtu? Of course. Apart from him, who else could it be? He is the only peerless monster to defeat a king as a half-step king in the past 1,000 years of the Tianxian region. Later on, he even became the disciple of Supreme Nine Sons. Right now, he is already one of the peak experts of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace. How can Lu Ming be compared to Yan Kuangtu? The difference is too great. However, there was one exception, and that was the Thunder Palace Master. At this moment, his heart was bursting with joy. Lu Ming still wanted to use the sword-shaped plant as the prize. Wasn't he giving it to him for free? The Thunder Palace Master tried his best to hold back his laughter. Xueqiao, say something. Do you dare to bet with me? My sword-shaped plant is worth 80,000 top-grade spiritual crystals. Do you dare? If not, just say it and I will change it. Lu Ming shouted. 80,000? Xueqiao was stunned and stuttered. He didn't have 80,000 top-grade spiritual crystals. He had just broken through to the Martial King realm, so he had used up all the top-grade spirit crystals he had on him to refine his vital essence. Moreover, even if he hadn't used them all, it was impossible for him to have 80,000 top-grade spiritual crystals. He was willing to bet with Lu Ming 1,000 times, but he couldn't afford that amount of spiritual crystals. Bet with him. I will pay the spiritual crystals. The Thunder Palace Master said. He waved his hand and a storage ring appeared in his hand. He threw it to Xueqiao. Xueqiao was overjoyed. He caught the storage ring and said, "Thank you, Master." The Thunder Palace Master nodded calmly, but his heart was bursting with joy. This old man is so cunning. The other palace masters cursed in their hearts. Lu Ming, please be my witness. If I win, I am afraid that someone will go back on their word. Lu Ming cupped his fists at the other palace masters. The crowd was speechless again. Did he really think that he would win? Lu Ming, you don't have to worry about this. Since the few of us are here, none of you can go back on your word. The Wind Palace Master said resolutely. The other palace masters nodded in agreement. Then I'll have to thank the palace masters, Lu Ming said. He then looked around and his gaze fell on a young man with a sword-shaped mark between his eyebrows. He was the leader of the 4 heavenly divine guards, Sheng Wushuang. Sheng Wushuang, since you are here, why don't we have a bet? Lu Ming looked at Sheng Wushuang and said, You want to bet with me? What are we betting on? Sheng Wushuang's eyes were fixed on the sword-shaped herb. He looked away reluctantly and looked at Lu Ming. Of course we're betting on who will win. Let's bet on the supreme grade spiritual crystals. I'll bet on myself. I'll bet less than you. How about 30,000 supreme grade spiritual crystals? Lu Ming said with a smile. Why wouldn't I dare? I will bet 30,000 spiritual crystals on Brother Shui winning. Sheng Wushuang waved his hand and a huge jade box appeared. When he opened it, it was filled with neat rows of top-grade spiritual crystals that exuded rich spiritual qi. Oh, Sheng Wushuang really has 30,000 top-grade spiritual crystals. He is really rich. Lu Ming muttered. Lu Ming, where are your top-grade spiritual crystals? Take them out. Sheng Wushuang said. Why? Sheng Wushuang, are you afraid that I will go back on my word? Lu Ming said with a smile. He did not have 30,000 top-grade spiritual crystals on him. He only had 10,000 top-grade spiritual crystals and he got them from the burly young man's storage ring. How could he take them out? He was just trying to gain something without risking anything. Humph, I don't think you would dare to go back on your word. Sheng Wushuang snorted. Lu Ming, are you done? Xue Chao said coldly. Yes, you can start now. Lu Ming looked at Xue Chao and smiled faintly. Xue Chao was enraged by his attitude. Wait a minute, I'll make you cry. Xue Chao's eyes were filled with killing intent. Boom. A powerful aura burst out from his body. Lightning flashed all over his body and a powerful thunder intent realm burst out. Lu Ming, I will defeat you in 3 moves. Xue Chao roared with a crazy aura. He grasped the air with one hand, and streaks of lightning gathered in his hand, finally forming a lightning sword. Thunder slash. Whoosh. Xue Chao took a step forward and the lightning sword slashed down at Lu Ming. The aura of a martial king was fully released. 9 dragons stomping the sky. Boom. Lu Ming's figure moved and he kicked his leg forward. A terrifying force burst out. The 2 forces collided and Lu Ming's body flew backward. Xue Chao did not move at all. Defeated, Lu Ming is going to be defeated. The difference is too big. Yes, Xue Chao should not have used his full strength. Lu Ming was completely defeated and was sent flying in 1 move. How can he be so arrogant with such little battle strength? I really can't believe it. There was a wave of discussion around. Lose for me. Xue Chao roared, his eyes extremely cold. His body was like lightning, pouncing toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming's mouth curved into a sneer. He took a step forward and soared into the sky. 9 dragons in the sky. Boom, boom. This time it was 2 steps in a row. The space shook violently as the 2 terrifying forces superimposed and surged toward Xue Chao. Boom. The force overflowed and lightning flashed. Lu Ming and Xue Chao both flew backward. Chapter 457. CSI. At this time, gasps could be heard from all around. Lu Ming actually managed to block Xue Chao's attack. How was that possible? Lu Ming was too strong. Was he trying to defy the heavens? Damn it. Xue Chao shouted angrily. He felt humiliated that Lu Ming had blocked his attack. Martial King experts could easily crush those below the Martial King level, regardless of whether they were geniuses or not. Those who could break through to the Martial King level were peerless geniuses. Those who were not talented would not be able to break through to the Martial King level. Furthermore, those who could break through to the Martial King level were usually Battle 3 geniuses. In other words, the weakest Martial King was a Battle 3 genius when he was a martial ancestor. Of course, nothing was absolute. There were some battle geniuses who broke through to the Martial King level, but they were too rare. They were geniuses, and with the Martial King level, it was too difficult to break through. But now Lu Ming had actually blocked his attack. It was unbelievable. Tian class martial skill. Lu Ming's attack is equivalent to a Tian class martial skill. The Fire Palace Master said with bright eyes. That's right. I didn't expect Lu Ming to be able to cultivate a Tian-class martial skill before becoming a martial king. His talent is indeed extraordinary. Although it can barely be considered the first level of a lower Tian-class martial skill, it's still very rare. The Wind Palace Master nodded. Of course, the Palace Masters did not hide their words and spread it far and wide. The crowd suddenly realized that Lu Ming had cultivated a Tian-class martial skill. No wonder he could block Xueqiao's attack. One had to know that even among the low-level martial kings, there were many who had yet to cultivate a Tian-level martial skill. Xueqiao, didn't you say you would defeat me in 3 moves? Now you have 2 moves, 1 more. Lu Ming said with a smile. You're courting death. Xueqiao roared. Boom. An even stronger aura suddenly rushed out of Xueqiao's body. True Yuan like a stormy sea filled his entire body. True Yuan and Intent Realm made Xueqiao's aura extremely strong. This was the true strength of a martial king expert. However, this was not the end. A lightning sword danced in the air, extremely resplendent. 6 silver chakras revolved around the sword. Lu Ming's expression turned serious. Xueqiao was about to unleash his full strength. Lu Ming, you forced me to do this. If you can't take this move, you'll die. You brought this on yourself. Purple Lightning Annihilation Sword. Xueqiao let out a long howl and charged toward Lu Ming like a thunder god, slashing out a terrifying sword gleam. Boom. Without any hesitation, Lu Ming activated his bloodline, which had already been converted to 50% of his true origin, and began to circulate it madly. Subsequently, the wind and fire concepts soared into the sky. True Dragon Strike. Xiaoqin thrust out his spear, and a 2-colored true dragon roared as it flew out. Waves of dragon roars shook the heavens and earth. At this moment, everyone was stunned. Boom. The 2-colored dragon collided heavily with Xueqiao's thunder battle sword. The Divine Guard battle platform rumbled violently and trembled. Horrifying power chi and Intent Realm shot out madly in all directions. Everyone was shocked and wanted to dodge. However, several palace masters waved their hands and formed a light screen, blocking the power chi. Boom. The light on the Divine Guard platform dissipated. A figure retreated 9 steps, each step causing the platform to rumble. It was Lu Ming. Xueqiao also retreated 3 steps. Gosh. Everyone stared blankly at the 2 figures on the battle platform. Obviously, Lu Ming was at a disadvantage. However, everyone was not shocked by Xueqiao's strength. On the contrary, they were shocked by Lu Ming. Xueqiao had already unleashed his full strength, but Lu Ming was still able to withstand it. He was only at a slight disadvantage and even pushed Xueqiao back a few steps. How could this be? Many people even rubbed their eyes hard, thinking that they were dreaming. Nest, what am I seeing? I am witnessing a miracle. A half-step king could actually withstand a king's attack and even push him back. This is crazy. Does this mean that Lu Ming already has the battle strength of a king? Gosh, this is too shocking. Many Tian Divine Guards around were so excited that their faces were flushed red, and they were shouting loudly. Even the hall leaders were astounded. Wind and Fire Intent Realm. This is the fusion of the Wind and Fire Intent Realm. Lu Ming obviously had not comprehended the Intent Realm before, but now he has comprehended 2 intents. The speed is too fast. Wind Palace Master said in shock. Cultivating 2 attributes at the same time, and being able to comprehend 2 forces to the level of concept in such a short period of time. This kind of talent is really too shocking. Fire Palace Master sighed. Especially Wind Palace Master. When he thought of persuading Lu Ming to give up on the Fire Intent Realm and was rejected by Lu Ming, he was unhappy and thought that Lu Ming was arrogant and stubborn. Now that he thought of it, his face was a little hot. Lu Ming told everyone that he was not arrogant or stubborn, but that he had the talent to cultivate 2 intents at the same time. On the side, Thunder Palace Master's face was extremely gloomy. In the crowd, Xing Wushuang's face was even uglier. He was the first person to berate Lu Ming like an elder. He said that Lu Ming's future was limited because he cultivated 2 intents at the same time, and that he could not compare with him in the future. But the truth was that Lu Ming's speed was still terrifying even though he cultivated 2 intents at the same time, much faster than many people who cultivated 1 intent. In such a short time he had comprehended 2 intents at the same time. This was simply a slap to his face. His eyes were filled with cold killing intent. Xing Wushuang, what do you think of my Wind and Fire Intent Realm? As if he felt Xing Wushuang's gaze, Lu Ming looked at him and said with a smile. Humph, it's just luck. So what if you have comprehended the Wind and Fire Intent Realm? You're still going to lose. Shen Wushuang sneered. Is that so? The corners of Lu Ming's mouth curled up into an inexplicable smile. Lu Ming, go die. On the battle stage, Xue Chao roared. He felt like he was going crazy. He was a martial king expert, but he was forced back by a half-step king. This was a great humiliation, and from now on, he would become a laughingstock among kings. Since ancient times, how many kings had been forced back by a half-step king? He could go down in the history books. Therefore he was angry and he hated that he could not tear Lu Ming into pieces. Lu Ming, with your wind and fire intent realm, how can you stop me? Purple lightning annihilation sword, die. Xue Chao roared, his killing intent surging like a tide. Zhen Yuan gushed out, lightning flashed, and sword chi tore through the sky. With such a powerful battle strength, he could kill a large number of ordinary half-step kings with one sword. Unfortunately, Lu Ming was not an ordinary half-step king. If the wind and fire intent realm is not enough, then I'll add another one, Lu Ming said coldly. Bang. Sizzle. Then, another heaven and earth intent realm rushed out from Lu Ming's body, and lightning appeared in the sky. Thunder intent realm. As soon as the thunder intent realm appeared, the heaven and earth suddenly quieted down. Space and time seemed to have frozen at this moment. Everyone's eyes were wide open as they stared at Lu Ming. Chapter 458. Hiss hiss hiss. Then there was the sound of people sucking in cold air. Ah, what's that? Thunder concept? Oh heavens, oh earth, Lu Ming has actually cultivated the thunder concept and has already comprehended it successfully. 3 concepts, how is that possible? I've never seen him use the thunder concept before. This is too heaven-defying, too heaven-defying. Cultivating 3 concepts at the same time and improving so quickly. How are others supposed to live? In the past, those who said that Lu Ming was arrogant, conceited, and stubborn are really blind. Lu Ming obviously knows his own limitations and knows his own talent. That's why he cultivated 3 types of intents. If he only cultivated 1 type of intents, he would really be stubborn and a waste of talent. So lower your voice. That's what the Wind and Thunder Palace Masters said. The Thunder Palace Master even asked Lu Ming to get out of the Thunder Palace and not let him attend the lecture. Ah? It's over. Did he hear it? But I'm telling the truth. Cough cough. In the sky, the Wind Palace Master coughed and looked embarrassed. Ah, it seems like I've made a mistake. The Wind Palace Master laughed and wasn't angry. However, it was a different story for the Thunder Palace Master. His eyes were filled with hatred as he stared at Lu Ming. That day he berated Lu Ming and asked him to get out of the Thunder Summit. He said that Lu Ming wasn't qualified to listen to his lecture and would never amount to anything in his life. He even used his aura to suppress Lu Ming. But how long had it been? Not only did Lu Ming cultivate the wind and fire concepts, but he also cultivated the thunder concept. This was equivalent to Lu Ming repeatedly slapping him in the face. Damn it, little bastard. If I say that you're useless, you should be useless for your entire life. Now that you've cultivated to such a level, you're clearly going against me and causing me to lose face. This is a capital offense, a capital offense. The Thunder Palace Master roared in his heart and his eyes were extremely sinister. As soon as Lu Ming's concept of lightning appeared, it shook the entire audience and set off a monstrous clamor. Even Xue Chao himself was incomparably shocked. He retreated a few steps and even forgot to attack. Lu Ming's aura was wild as the 3 different mentalities intertwined together. Holding the long spear in one hand, he walked step by step towards Xue Chao. Xue Chao, bring out your full strength. That's all you've got. You disappoint me. Lu Ming berated. Lu Ming, do you think you can fight me just because you've unleashed 3 concepts? Naive. Die. Xue Chao forced himself to calm down, killing intent flashing in his eyes. Kill, he must kill Lu Ming. Lu Ming's talent was too strong, making him tremble with fear. As for Qiu Changkong, he was in the crowd. His face had already turned pale. Purple lightning, 1,000 sword slash. Xue Chao roared and raised his strength to the peak. He slashed out with his battle sword and countless lightning sword chi slashed towards Lu Ming. 1,000 dragons kill. Lu Ming executed the second move of the 3 ultimate skills of the dragon god. Wind, fire and lightning. The 3 mentalities merged together and pierced out with the long spear. Instantly dragon roars resounded. Countless small 2-colored true dragons flew out and pounced towards the sword chi. Yes, it was still 2-colored because the lightning mentalities hadn't completely merged with the wind and fire mentalities. Although they hadn't merged, Lu Ming's battle prowess had increased greatly with the addition of the lightning mentalities. Boom, boom. The lightning sword chi clashed with the two-colored true dragons and exploded like fireworks. In just a few breaths, thousands of explosions rang out. Kill! Kill! Two loud roars rang out. Lu Ming and Xue Chao shuttled through the turbulent energy waves and clashed heavily. Boom! Boom! The two of them clashed continuously. The sword chi and the spear light shot up tens of thousands of meters into the sky and stirred up the clouds. At the scene, everyone held their breaths and stared blankly at the two of them. Not enough, the pressure isn't enough. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. Although Xue Chao was slightly stronger than him, it was very limited and couldn't give him enough pressure to merge the wind and fire mentalities. Xue Chao, is this all you've got? Martial King? I think you're the trashiest Martial King, right? If I were you, I would just cripple my own cultivation. Lu Ming shouted, full of disdain. The crowd was speechless. Although Xue Chao had just broken through to Martial King, he was definitely not the trashiest Martial King. Xue Chao himself was a terrifying genius. When he was a martial ancestor, he was a four-battle genius. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been chosen by the Thunder Palace Master and taken in as a disciple. A four-battle genius from the martial ancestor realm wouldn't be the trashiest Martial King. His battle prowess wouldn't be too weak. However, in Lu Ming's words, he was the trashiest Martial King. The Thunder Palace Master was so angry that his lips trembled. As for Xue Chao, he was so angry that his eyes were bloodshot. At this point in the battle, Xue Chao knew that he was destined to become a laughing stock. However, he still had a chance. As long as he defeated Lu Ming, he would be able to save some face. He clenched his teeth and roared, "Lu Ming, you forced me to do this. You forced me to do this." Xue Chao roared as his finger emitted a glow. A pill appeared and was swallowed by him. Bang! After Xue Chao swallowed the pill, the true chi in his body went berserk as if it had gone mad. It was now twice as strong as before. Die! Xue Chao's eyes were bloodshot as his hair danced in the wind. He held the thunderous battle sword in his hand and charged toward Lu Ming. The increase in the strength of his true chi greatly increased his battle prowess. Dang! Lu Ming exchanged blows with Xue Chao. He could feel a surge of violent energy surging toward him, causing his body to involuntarily retreat. Such a powerful force. Ah, just nice. Lu Ming was filled with battle intent. However, the crowd was in an uproar. That's the energy burst pill. Xue Chao actually took the energy burst pill. How despicable. Once the energy burst pill is taken, one's true chi will go berserk and become twice as strong as before. However, the side effects are also very severe. After the effect of the pill wears off, one's true chi will become impure and even sluggish. There will be a long period of weakness and one will have to pay a huge price to recover. Especially for someone like Xue Chao who has just broken through. The energy burst pill is equivalent to a poisonous pill. If he doesn't handle it well, his future path of martial arts will be cut off. He's being forced into a corner. Discussions broke out all around. Thunder Palace Master Xue Chao has already violated the rules. In the sky, the Wind Palace Master's face turned ugly as he looked at the Thunder Palace Master. Violated the rules? How so? Before the competition, there was no rule that forbade the use of external force. The Thunder Palace Master said coldly, "You are really despicable." The Wind Palace Master was furious, but there was nothing he could do. Indeed, before the competition, who would have thought of this? Who would have thought that Xue Chao would use external force? Everyone thought that Xue Chao would definitely win. They were not worried that Lu Ming would use external force, which was already considered good. Die, little bastard, die. In the crowd, Sheng Wushuang roared. This battle was not only related to his reputation, but also related to 30,000 supreme spiritual crystals. Naturally, he would pay special attention to it. Boom. At this moment, the battle in the fighting ring continued. With the help of the energy burst pill, Xue Chao madly attacked Lu Ming. Die, die. Chapter 459. He was well aware of the side effects of the energy burst elixir. He had never thought of taking it. The energy burst elixir was for him to save his life at a critical moment, but he had no choice because of Lu Ming. Today he had to win. He had no way out. Once he lost, not only would he lose face, but he would also lose 80,000 supreme-grade spiritual crystals. To him, 80,000 supreme-grade spiritual crystals was an astronomical figure that he could not bear. Therefore he blamed everything on Lu Ming. He wanted to eat his flesh and drink his blood. Boom. Xue Chao held the lightning sword and attacked Lu Ming violently. Lu Ming blocked with his long spear. Three wills intertwined as he fought with Xueqiao. Boom, boom. The fighting ring shook continuously. Wills filled the air and True Yuan shot out. Lu Ming cultivated the true dragon battle art. He had reached the 9th level and had 10 times the true qi. Although he had only converted 50% of it, the other half was still true qi. When he circulated it, it was somewhat obscure and could not explode with his full strength. However, it was still comparable to Xueqiao's True Yuan. In terms of wills, the 3 wills combined were still incomparable to a wills that had condensed a will's rune. However, with the addition of the 3 ultimate skills of the dragon god, the power would not be too far off. Therefore Lu Ming could fight with Xueqiao. However, after Xueqiao swallowed the energy burst elixir, Lu Ming was completely at a disadvantage. However, Lu Ming was even more excited. Yes, this is the feeling, this is the feeling. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He used the 3 wills to the extreme. The 3 wills intertwined together and clashed with Xueqiao. He felt that the thunder wills were merging with the wind and fire wills. Although it was slow, it was indeed merging. Haha, fight, fight. Lu Ming roared and used all his strength to fight against Xueqiao. However, he was still at a disadvantage. He was suppressed by Xueqiao's violent attacks and kept retreating. This situation fell into the eyes of others, but they did not think so. They did not know Lu Ming's plan. Lu Ming is going to lose. He's been completely suppressed. That's right. Right now he's only resisting stubbornly. However, he won't be able to resist for long. Once he's defeated, he'll have to face Xueqiao's storm-like attacks. At that time he'll probably be defeated and killed. If I were Lu Ming, I would admit defeat now. It's already a great honor to be able to fight a king to this extent. In the past 1,000 years, only Yan Kuangtu from 100 years ago could do this. That's right. If Lu Ming can maintain this momentum, his future achievements will be limitless. It would be a pity if he were to die at Xueqiao's hands. By now, more and more people had gathered to watch. There were already more than 20,000 people. Even one of the 9 hall masters had come. Some people were gloating while others were worried for Lu Ming. I'm certain that Lu Ming will be defeated within 20 moves. Someone said affirmatively. Soon 20 moves had passed. Lu Ming was still holding on, although the situation didn't look good. Cough cough. I didn't expect Lu Ming to be so tenacious. This is his will to live supporting him. However, it's useless. This time he'll be defeated within 30 moves. The person who previously said that Lu Ming would be defeated within 20 moves coughed a few times and spoke again. Soon another 30 moves had passed. Lu Ming was still holding on. Cough cough cough. This time Lu Ming will definitely be defeated within 50 moves. That person kept coughing. He was very embarrassed, but his mouth was very cheap and he came to a conclusion. The people around him looked at him with disdain and stayed far away from him. Lu Ming didn't know about any of this, nor would he pay attention to it. Now all his thoughts were on the 3 wills. Soon, just a little bit more, just a little bit more. Lu Ming's eyes became brighter and brighter. Boom. Suddenly the 3 wills roared. Then, with a boom, they merged into one. The fusion was successful. The 3 wills of wind, fire, and thunder had finally merged into one. When the 3 wills merged, the power of the 3 unique skills of the dragon god automatically evolved from low heaven level to high heaven level. In other words, Lu Ming now directly possessed the power of the 3rd level of a high heaven level martial skill. With a thrust of the spear, a tricolor dragon flew out. The dragon's roar shook the sky. Its aura was extremely terrifying, and it was several times stronger than before. How could this be? What's going on? Xueqiao was shocked. Bang, bang. The thunder sword light that he unleashed with all his strength instantly collapsed in front of the tricolor dragon like trash. The tricolor dragon pounced and clawed at Xueqiao's body. Xueqiao screamed and his body flew far away. Buzz. Lu Ming's long spear shook and his body rushed out. The long spear lashed out and hit Xueqiao's body. Suddenly the sound of bones breaking was heard. Xueqiao's body flew along the fighting ring. After flying for more than 1,000 meters, Xueqiao lay on the ground, coughing up blood and twitching non-stop. He was half dead. Everyone's eyes were about to explode. They were tongue-tied as they watched in a daze. Hey, did I stare too hard just now and get dizzy? Am I hallucinating? I actually saw Lu Ming suddenly explode and beat Xueqiao half to death. Don't you think it's funny? No way you saw it too. I thought I was seeing things. It can't be real, right? One is seeing things, 2 are seeing things, but it can't be all 3. I fucking saw it too. Nestle, it can't be. Could this be real? Are we dreaming? Lu Ming actually suddenly erupted and won? How is this possible? How is this possible? Yeah, he was obviously being suppressed. How could he suddenly win? Is he cheating? Everyone looked at the scene in disbelief. They couldn't understand. In the end, they could only think of Lu Ming cheating. Cheating, Lu Ming, you despicable bastard. How dare you cheat in the battle? Qiu Changkong flew out and screamed hysterically. Lu Ming could actually defeat Xueqiao, a challenger. Qiu Changkong couldn't accept it. Idiot. Lu Ming glanced at Qiu Changkong indifferently. What did you say? You cheated and you don't allow others to talk about it? How dare you? Tell me, how did you cheat? Tell me honestly. There are so many people here, including the palace masters. How can you be so presumptuous? Qiu Changkong roared. Qiu Changkong, don't go overboard. Even Xueqiao could use the energy burst pill. Even if Brother Lu used some tricks, it's not overboard. Jian Fengyun flew out from the crowd and said loudly. He also thought that Lu Ming must have used some tricks. However, if Xueqiao could use the energy burst pill, why couldn't Lu Ming use some tricks? He definitely didn't use any ordinary tricks. He must have used some despicable tricks. Qiu Changkong argued, not letting go of Lu Ming. That's right, Lu Ming. This battle doesn't count. Cancel our bet. Xing Wushuang shouted. Cancel. Xing Wushuang, you want to go back on your words after losing? Do you think you can do that? Hand over the supreme grade spiritual crystals. Chapter 460. Xing Wushuang's expression changed as he shouted, Lu Ming, what are you doing? You're the one who cheated first. Nonsense. Lu Ming scolded as he moved his body and clawed at Xing Wushuang. You have to hand it over today. Lu Ming's cold voice resounded. Lu Ming, don't think I'm afraid of you. It's just cheating. Die. Xing Wushuang roared as his terrifying aura erupted. Xing Wushuang was very close to the martial king realm. Whether it was the refinement of true essence or the comprehension of intent realm, he was very close to the martial king realm. His battle strength was also very terrifying. He had reached the level of a 5-battle genius. The sword mark on his forehead glowed, and an iron sword flew out and landed in Saint Wushuang's hand. He slashed out with the sword and a mighty sword radiance filled the world as it slashed toward Lu Ming. Unfortunately, it was all in vain. Lu Ming's claw was surrounded by 3 different intent realms and its power was terrifying. Xing Wushuang's sword radiance was crushed like a bubble in Lu Ming's hand. Lu Ming's claw did not stop as he grabbed Xing Wushuang's neck. Lu Ming squeezed hard and a majestic true essence, wind, fire and thunder intent realm poured into Xing Wushuang's neck. Xing Wushuang could not resist at all as Lu Ming grabbed him like a chick. Bam! Lu Ming flung Xing Wushuang hard. Xing Wushuang's body was like a toad as he was flung heavily onto the fighting ring. Boom! It was as if the fighting ring had been hit by a meteorite, making a violent roar and shaking non-stop. Crack! Crack! A jarring sound was heard as Xing Wushuang's bones broke. Xing Wushuang's body hit the fighting ring and bounced up high before falling down again. He bounced a few times like a rubber ball before coming to a stop. Off. Xing Wushuang spat out blood as if it was free. The people around felt their teeth ache and a chill run down their spines. Lu Ming was too violent. Once there was a disagreement, he took action. Most importantly, Xing Wushuang, the number 1 genius of the 4 celestial divine guards, couldn't even last one move from Lu Ming. He was like a helpless chicken. However, their cultivation bases were clearly at the half-step king level. This was too shocking. The difference was too great. They were not on the same level at all. Not far away, Qiu Changkong was so scared that his whole body was trembling non-stop. There was not a trace of blood on his face and he almost wet his pants. Even Xing Wushuang couldn't block a single move from Lu Ming. If Xing Wushuang wanted to deal with him, it would be no different from crushing an ant. What do you mean the number 1 genius of the 4 heavens divine guards? You're just a piece of trash. How can such trash be qualified to be on the same level as me? Lu Ming glanced at Xing Wushuang and said disdainfully, Puchi. These words caused Xing Wushuang to vomit blood again. Hall Masters, Lu Ming has gone too far. He used despicable means to win against Xueqiao. He must be severely punished. Saint Wushuang screamed. Enough. At this moment, the Hall Master of Wind shouted coldly. His voice wasn't loud, but it silenced everyone. Lu Ming didn't cheat. The Hall Master of Wind continued. Everyone was stunned. He didn't cheat? How is that possible? He was clearly at a disadvantage before. If he didn't cheat, how could he burst out with such power and defeat Xueqiao in one move? How is that possible? Sheng Wushuang couldn't accept it and shouted. Lu Ming didn't cheat, which meant that he would lose 30,000 spirit crystals. Are you doubting my words? The Hall Master of Wind looked coldly at Sheng Wushuang. Sheng Wushuang suddenly felt a chill and shouted, No, how would I dare to doubt the Hall Master? It's just that this matter is too strange. Lu Ming must give a reasonable explanation. Reasonable explanation? The reasonable explanation is that Lu Ming broke through in the battle. The Hall Master of Wind said coldly. Then he looked at Lu Ming with a gentle smile and deep amazement. Lu Ming, in the battle just now, you've completely merged the three essences of wind, fire, and thunder, right? The Hall Master is really insightful. Lu Ming said with a smile. He knew that he couldn't hide it from the Hall Masters. I recently encountered a bottleneck in my cultivation and Xueqiao was looking for trouble with me, so I used him to practice. I didn't expect to break through in such a short time. Speaking of which, I have to thank him. Lu Ming smiled faintly and looked toward Xueqiao. At this moment, Xueqiao was a little more awake and struggled to get up. When he heard these words, he directly spat out a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground, unconscious. Wuxia. Everyone around was dumbfounded. It turned out that the reason Lu Ming challenged Xueqiao was to use him for cultivation. Most importantly, not only did he use Xueqiao for cultivation, but he also made such a big bet with him. It was too unkind. At the same time, they were also shocked by Lu Ming's talent. Different essences couldn't be merged in a casual battle. If it was that simple, everyone would have gone to cultivate. It was all because of Lu Ming's abnormal talent. In the fighting ring, Sheng Wushuang opened his mouth for a long time, but no words came out. What about me? Where are the spiritual crystals? Hurry up and take them out. Lu Ming walked to Sheng Wushuang's side and looked down at him. Sheng Wushuang was on the verge of tears and his lips were trembling. 30,000 spiritual crystals, that was almost all of his wealth. He kept them to refine his true origin and break through to Martial King. How could he bear to part with them? The reason why he agreed to bet with Lu Ming was that he was sure to win and earn 30,000 spiritual crystals. Why not? If he knew that he would lose, he wouldn't have taken the bet. He looked at the Hall Masters in the sky with a pleading look. You bet and you lose. Give it to me. Hall Master Feng said coldly. Saint Wushuang's body trembled even more violently. He took out the jade box unwillingly and stared at it, unwilling to part with it. Whoosh! Lu Ming waved his hand and took the jade box. He scanned it and found that there were exactly 30,000 supreme spiritual crystals in it. It's just 30,000 supreme spiritual crystals. It's not a big deal. Do you have to make such an expression? Lu Ming said casually. He happily put the jade box into the Temple of Paragon. Sheng Wushuang was so angry that he spat out another mouthful of blood and his body trembled. Lu Ming's words were too infuriating. What did he mean by it was not a big deal? It was 30,000 top-grade spiritual crystals, not 30,000 low-grade spiritual crystals. Sheng Wushuang's face was pale and he looked sad. He was out of his mind. Back then he was so high and mighty. He looked as if he could judge everything. He gave pointers to Lu Ming like an elder giving pointers to a junior. He said that Lu Ming was not worthy to be his opponent in the future because he cultivated several types of intents and his achievements were limited. How long had it been since then? In front of Lu Ming, he was like a dog that could be easily manipulated. Chapter 461. Now that he thought about it, his expression back then was simply laughable. How could he give pointers to Lu Ming? How could he compare to Suemo? He was right when he said that the gap between him and Lu Ming would only widen. It was just that Lu Ming was far ahead. Everyone's eyes swept over Sheng Wushuang. Many of them shook their heads and sighed. Sheng Wushuang was just born at the wrong time. It wasn't that he wasn't strong, but that Lu Ming was too strong. Lu Ming glanced at Sheng Wushuang indifferently and no longer looked at him. His body moved and appeared in front of Xueqiao. Lu Ming, what are you trying to do? Xueqiao has already lost. Do you dare to make another move? High up in the sky, Temple Master of Thunder's face was extremely gloomy. Who said I'm going to make another move? I'm just going to take the prize that I won. Lu Ming smiled and flicked his finger, sending a stream of true essence into Xueqiao's body. Xueqiao cried out and came to his senses. When he saw Lu Ming in front of him, he screamed in fright, Lu Ming, what are you trying to do? Lu Ming was speechless. He curled his lips and said, Xueqiao, you've lost. Hand over the 80,000 supreme spiritual crystals. At this moment he wanted to die. Previously he had the same thought as Sheng Wushuang. He thought that he would definitely win, so he agreed to bet 80,000 supreme spiritual crystals. He never expected that he would lose. 80,000 supreme spiritual crystals. Xueqiao had never had so many supreme spiritual crystals in his life. They were lent to him by his master and he definitely had to return them. His heart trembled and he cast a pleading look at Temple Master of Thunder. Temple Master of Thunder's eyes flickered and he turned his head away. There were 5 Temple Masters present and he wasn't the only one. If he was alone, things would be easier. But with so many Temple Masters present, he didn't dare to overstep his boundaries. Xueqiao, you must accept your loss. Your master is useless. Hand over the spiritual crystals. The faint voice of the Wind Palace Master sounded. Xueqiao's body trembled. With a pale face he took out a storage ring. It was the one that the Thunder Palace Master had given him. Lu Ming took it with a smile. He scanned it with his mind and after confirming that there was no mistake, he put it away. Thanks. I've been lacking spiritual crystals recently. Lu Ming added with a smile, his heart bursting with joy. In such a short period of time, he had earned 110,000 spiritual crystals. These spiritual crystals were too easy to earn. It was even faster than robbing people. Now, Lu Ming had enough spirit crystals to refine his quintessential essence. Xueqiao almost fainted from anger. Lu Ming, are you willing to take me as your master? I won't ask you to only cultivate one type of concept. You can cultivate as many types as you want. I'll only be responsible for teaching you the concept of wind. How about it? Right at this moment, the Wind Hall Master suddenly spoke. Lu Ming was stunned. He hadn't expected the Wind Hall Master to suddenly ask to take him as his disciple. Lu Ming, I'm also willing to take you as my disciple. Are you willing to take me as your master? My conditions are the same as Old Man Feng's. I won't restrict you from cultivating other concepts. I'll only teach you the concept of fire. At this moment, the Fire Hall Master also spoke. The others were shocked. They all looked at Lu Ming in a daze, revealing looks of envy. The Wind Hall Master and the Fire Hall Master both spoke at the same time. They wanted to take Lu Ming as their disciple, and they wouldn't interfere with his cultivation of other concepts. In other words, Lu Ming could take several people as his master at the same time. In this way, Lu Ming could take the Wind Hall Master and the Fire Hall Master as his master at the same time. How could they not be envious? It was extremely difficult for ordinary geniuses to take a Hall Master as their master. How could it be like now, when several Hall Masters wanted to take Lu Ming as their disciple? However, on second thought, it was normal. The talent that Lu Ming had displayed was too shocking. His future was limitless. If they could take him as their disciple, their faction would definitely be able to flourish in the future. In addition, the Metal Hall Master and the Earth Hall Master were also tempted. Unfortunately, their concepts didn't match Lu Ming's. Naturally, they couldn't take Lu Ming as their disciple. They could only look at the Wind Hall Master and the Fire Hall Master with envy. Look, Lu Ming is stunned. He must be so happy that he's stunned, right? Some people said sourly. At this moment, Lu Ming wasn't stunned. He was thinking and hesitating. Yes, Lu Ming was hesitating. The benefits of being able to take the 2 Hall Masters as his master were self-evident. Not only would he have 2 powerful backers, but if he could receive guidance from the 2 Hall Masters in the Wind and Fire intent, he would definitely be able to avoid many detours. Lu Ming was very tempted by these 2 points. However, Lu Ming was still worried. Lu Ming had too many secrets. Not only did he cultivate divine-grade cultivation techniques, but he also cultivated divine-grade martial skills. He also had the 9-dragon bloodline in the Temple of Paragon. Some secrets couldn't be seen at first glance. However, if he took them as his master and stayed too close to them, it was hard to guarantee that the Hall Masters wouldn't notice. At that time, these secrets would be exposed and he would be in danger. Not to mention many, as long as one of them was exposed, it was hard to guarantee that the Hall Masters wouldn't kill him and steal his treasures. Lu Ming had to consider this point. After thinking for a while, Lu Ming gritted his teeth and made a decision. Lu Ming cupped his fists and bowed to the Wind and Fire Temple Master, saying, Lu Ming thanks the 2 Hall Masters for their kindness. However, Lu Ming once took a master and swore that he would never take another master as his master. Here, Lu Ming can only disappoint the 2 Hall Masters. Lu Ming made up an excuse at the last minute. As soon as he said this, the crowd was shocked and clamored. What? Lu Ming actually rejected it? He actually rejected it? Nestle, did I hear wrong? The 2 Hall Masters want to take him as their disciple at the same time and won't interfere with his cultivation of other intents. He actually rejected such good conditions? This is too infuriating. Heavens, if he doesn't want this opportunity, give it to me. Just give me half of it. Many people shouted. However, now no one said that Lu Ming was arrogant. If it was before today, if Lu Ming rejected the two hall masters' kindness, there would definitely be a group of people who would stand up and scold him, saying that he was overestimating himself and that he didn't put the hall masters in his eyes. But now, even if there were people who thought so, no one dared to scold him. They were afraid that if Lu Ming's cultivation improved greatly after a period of time, their faces would be slapped swollen. The Wind and Fire Temple Masters were also stunned. They didn't expect Lu Ming to reject them. Lu Ming, why don't you think about it again? The Wind Temple Master said. This junior is very grateful for the Wind Temple Master's kindness, but there is an oath that this junior can't go against. Otherwise, I will become an ungrateful person who doesn't respect his masters. Lu Ming cupped his fists again and said. Seeing this, the Wind Temple Master knew that Lu Ming had made up his mind and let out a long sigh. It was a pity to miss such a good talent. At the side, the Wind Temple Master's eyes flashed with joy. Good. Lu Ming, if you become the disciple of the Wind Temple Master and the Fire Temple Master, then things will be difficult. Now that you have rejected them, haha, you are courting death. Chapter 462. But, right then Lu Ming suddenly opened his mouth, which shocked everyone. Was Lu Ming going to change his mind? Lu Ming waved his hand slightly, and the sword-shaped plant appeared in the air again. The 9 sword-like leaves exploded with bright sword intent, stirring up the wind and clouds. The palace leaders of Wind, Fire, and Gold all stared at the sword-shaped plant with excitement in their eyes. I am willing to sell this sword-shaped plant to all of you. Lu Ming opened his mouth. Great. Lu Ming, I will give you 120,000 top-rank spiritual crystals. The palace leader of Wind immediately opened his mouth. It was 20,000 more than the 100,000 he offered before. I will give you 150,000 top-rank spiritual crystals. I am determined to get this sword-shaped plant. Don't fight with me for it. The palace leader of Gold said. Don't fight with you? Old man Gold, you are dreaming. Let me tell you, I am determined to get this sword-shaped plant as well. The palace leader of Wind said coldly, not giving in at all. Damn it. Lu Ming, that bastard, wants to sell this sword-shaped plant. Damn it. This sword-shaped plant is mine. The palace leader of Thunder screamed in his mind, his eyes burning with anger. Initially, he was still thinking of how to get his hands on Lu Ming's sword-shaped herb. But if Lu Ming sold it to another palace leader, then his plan would be ruined. He was also very interested in this sword-shaped plant, and wanted to buy it as well. But he could not open his mouth. Even if he did, Lu Ming would not sell it to him. His killing intent towards Lu Ming became even more intense. The palace leaders started to argue with each other. Among the 5 palace leaders, besides the palace leader of Earth, the others were all sword cultivators. They all wanted the sword-shaped plant very much. Seniors, please listen to me. Right then Lu Ming opened his mouth again. His clear voice was heard from afar. The palace leaders quieted down all of a sudden, looking at Lu Ming. Palace leaders, I have a suggestion. Is it okay? Lu Ming said. Lu Ming, speak. The Wind Palace Master said. Lu Ming nodded and said, Leaders, this sword-shaped plant, I do not want to sell it for so many top-rank spiritual crystals. Just like the previous bet, I only need 80,000 top-rank spiritual crystals. However, I will not sell it to one person but to all of you at the same time. This way all of you can study it together in the future. Isn't that better? Several people comprehending together? The hall masters were taken aback for a moment. After a brief moment of consideration, they nodded in agreement. I have no objections. The Fire Palace Master said. I don't have a concept either. Old man Jean, what about you? Wind Palace Master looked at Metal Palace Master. Since none of you have any objections, I naturally have no objections either. Palace Master Jean Ji also said. Alright, I'll sell it to Wind, Fire and Gold Palace Masters at the same time. You only need to pay 80,000 top-grade spiritual crystals. Lu Ming smiled. He directly ignored Thunder Palace Master, which made Thunder Palace Master grit his teeth even more. Lu Ming, 80,000 supreme-grade spirit crystals is too little. This sword-shaped herb can be easily sold for hundreds of thousands of supreme-grade spirit crystals in the market. How about this? The 3 of us will each pay 40,000 supreme-grade spirit crystals. A total of 120,000 supreme-grade spirit crystals to buy this sword-shaped herb. Wind Palace Master said. Alright, let's do it. Fire and Metal Palace Masters nodded. Then, the three of them each took out 40,000 top-grade spiritual crystals for a total of 120,000 and gave it to Lu Ming. Thank you, seniors. Lu Ming was overjoyed and gave the sword-shaped plant to the three palace masters. Haha, Lu Ming, even if you don't have me as your teacher, if you have any questions about the concept of wind in the future, you can come to me. I will tell you everything I know. After getting the sword-shaped plant, Wind Palace Master was obviously in a good mood. Lu Ming, if you have anything you don't understand about the concept of fire, you can also come to me. Fire Palace Master also smiled. The others were so envious that they almost went crazy. Lu Ming's treatment was too good, wasn't it? Ahem, Lu Ming, if you are interested in the concept of gold in the future, you can come to me. I will teach you with all my heart. Gold Palace Master coughed a few times and said, Hey old monster Jean, don't mislead him. Wind Palace Master glared at Gold Palace Master and shouted. But in the next moment he thought of Lu Ming's insane talent and shut his mouth. Who could guarantee that Lu Ming would not be interested in the concept of gold in the future? Thank you, Gold Palace Master. If Lu Ming wants to comprehend the concept of gold, he will have to trouble you. However, Lu Ming still replied with a serious face. This made many people speechless. Could it be that Lu Ming was really aiming for the concept of gold? Come on, you've already comprehended 3 types of concepts, alright? Many people were speechless. Haha, then let's go. The Wind, Fire and Metal Palace Masters smiled and said. They could not wait to go back and study the sword-shaped herb. With a slight movement of their bodies, the 3 palace masters disappeared. Bring your senior brother and follow me back. Thunder Palace Master looked at Chiu Chang Kong and snorted coldly. He stepped into the air and disappeared as well. Chiu Chang Kong quickly brought Xue Chao and left. Then the Earth Hall Master and the other protectors also left one by one. Just like that, the curtains of a thrilling, rarely seen challenge came to an end. Lu? Brother Lu, I haven't seen you for a while. Your achievements are unforgettable. Jian Fengyun flew towards Lu Ming and said with a sigh. Brother Jian, you are too polite. Lu Ming was just lucky. If Brother Jian is free, why don't you come to the East Sky Courtyard? Lu Ming said with a smile. Jian Fengyun was a righteous person and Lu Ming recognized him. Just now Jian Fengyun had also stood up for him. Sure. I have some questions about the martial Dao and would like to ask Brother Lu. Jian Fengyun said with a flicker in his eyes. Then, the two of them flew into the air and headed towards the East Sky Courtyard. After Lu Ming left, the others quickly left as well. The news about the battle spread like a whirlwind. When Lu Ming and Jian Fengyun returned to the East Sky Courtyard, they sat down on the stone bench in the courtyard. Lu Ming took out a bottle of wine and the two of them chatted while drinking. During this time, Jian Fengyun asked Lu Ming about comprehending the concept from force. Lu Ming had comprehended 3 concepts at the same time. He had a deep understanding of the concept from force. He told Jian Fengyun everything he knew and shared his experiences. After listening, Jian Fengyun's eyes lit up and his face was filled with joy. Obviously he had learned a lot. 2 hours later, Jian Fengyun bid farewell and left. Continue to refine my true yuan. Lu Ming's eyes flickered with excitement. This time he had obtained a total of 230,000 supreme spiritual crystals. In addition to the 10,000 supreme spiritual crystals from before, he had a total of 240,000 supreme spiritual crystals. It was simply a windfall. Bam. Bam. Immediately, Lu Ming took out 5,000 supreme spiritual crystals and exploded them to refine his true yuan. Chapter 463. 3 days later, in a hall of the Thunder Palace. Master, this disciple is useless. I deserve to die. Please punish me. Xue Chao knelt on the ground, his body trembling. The recovery ability of a king was extremely frightening. In 3 days, Xue Chao's injuries were almost healed. However, the side effects of the exploding yuan pill were not so easily healed. His face was still pale and his aura was unstable. Beside Xue Chao stood Chiu Chang Kong, who was keeping quiet out of fear. The Thunder Palace Master sat at the top, his face extremely gloomy. Waves of killing intent were emitted from his body. You are indeed a piece of trash. You are a king, but you actually lost to a half-step king. You have brought shame to your master. The Thunder Palace Master's cold voice resounded. The killing intent on his body became even denser, causing Xue Chao's body to tremble even more. The atmosphere in the hall was extremely stifling. After a while, the Thunder Palace Master's voice resounded again. However, it is not entirely your fault. Lu Ming, that little bastard's talent is indeed rare. It far surpasses ordinary geniuses. Even I was shocked. Master, are we going to let that bastard Lu Ming off just like that and let him continue to be arrogant? Qiu Changkong said unwillingly. Of course not. That little bastard Lu Ming won't be able to live for long. The Thunder Palace Master smiled eerily. Qiu Changkong and Xue Chao's eyes lit up. Qiu Changkong hurriedly said, Master, are you going to personally kill that bastard Lu Ming? Stupid. The Thunder Palace Master scolded, causing Qiu Changkong's face to turn pale. That little bastard Lu Ming is very smart. A few days ago he sold the sword-shaped grass to Old Feng and the others at a low price. It seemed like he suffered a loss, but he actually made a huge profit. At the same time he won the favor of the 3 palace masters. Now those 3 old fellows favor Lu Ming a lot. If I were to personally kill him, not only would I become a laughingstock, those 3 old fellows would also make things difficult for me. Why would I do such an unwise thing? The Thunder Palace Master said. Then how does Master plan to deal with Lu Ming? Xue Chao asked cautiously. Lu Ming has joined the Empyrean Divine Guards for a period of time. Everyone who joins the Empyrean Divine Guards for a period of time must complete a mission for the Empyrean Divine Palace. This is the duty of every Empyrean Divine Guard. The Thunder Palace Master said slowly. Qiu Changkong and Xue Chao's eyes lit up. Master wants to tamper with this mission? Xue Chao asked. That's right. When the time comes I will arrange a special mission for Lu Ming. As long as he dies in this mission no one will suspect anything. Even if they suspect something they will have no reason to make trouble for me. Thunder Palace Master sneered. Master is wise. Qiu Changkong and Xue Chao were overjoyed, bowing deeply to the Lightning Temple Master. Yes, Changkong. I know that you have old grudges with Lu Ming. The matters in your hometown, the Burning Sun Empire, have not been completely settled yet. After Lu Ming accepts that mission, you should return to the Burning Sun Empire and settle the matters there. Chao, go with Changkong and assist him. Thunder Palace Master instructed. Thank you, Master. Qiu Changkong was naturally overjoyed and thanked the Thunder Palace Master. However, in the next moment he revealed a worried expression and said, Master, Lu Ming is a lucky guy. He can always turn danger into safety. This disciple is worried that if Lu Ming is lucky enough to survive and knows that I return to the Burning Sun Empire to deal with his family and friends, he might directly kill his way to the Burning Sun Empire. Now Qiu Changkong was really scared of Lu Ming. He was scared to death. If Lu Ming didn't die and knew that he went back to deal with his family and friends, he would really be finished. Seeing Qiu Changkong's cowardly appearance, disappointment flashed across the Thunder Palace Master's eyes. He snorted coldly and said, Are you doubting my arrangements? Qiu Changkong's expression changed drastically. He hurriedly knelt down and said, This disciple doesn't dare. This disciple doesn't dare. Alright, let me tell you. I have already arranged everything perfectly. When Lu Ming is carrying out the mission, I will also find a way to let Lu Ming know that you have returned to the Burning Sun Empire to deal with his family. If he is lucky enough to survive and returns to the Burning Sun Empire, then he will really be dead. The Thunder Palace Master smiled proudly. So Master has already made arrangements. This disciple has been overthinking. This disciple admires Master's ability to devise strategies. Qiu Changkong was overjoyed and flattered his master. Alright. You guys just wait for the news. As long as Lu Ming accepts the mission and leaves, you guys can also leave. The Thunder Palace Master laughed proudly. Lu Ming was still refining his true yuan. It had already been 7 days. This time Lu Ming had refined his true yuan for 7 days. In 7 days, Lu Ming had used up a total of 50,000 peak-grade spiritual crystals. After using 50,000 peak-grade spiritual crystals, Lu Ming finally converted his true yuan to 99%. In his body 99% was true yuan, and only 1% was true qi. However, no matter how much Lu Ming refined his true yuan, the last 1% had no effect at all. Indeed, I need to break through to Martial King before my true yuan can reach 100% perfection. Lu Ming sighed. Under Martial King, one could not refine their true yuan to 100%. Although it was only a 1% difference, the difference in strength was huge. 100% meant perfection. It was as smooth as 1, and there was no obstruction in the circulation. As for 99%, it meant that there were impurities. The circulation and eruption of true yuan would not be smooth, and there would be obstacles. Now, as long as I can condense an intent talisman for one of the intents, I can break through to Martial King. Lu Ming pondered. Of the three intents, as long as one of them was broken through, Lu Ming could break through to Martial King. After breaking through to Martial King, it would be easier to cultivate the other two intents. Let's start with the intent of thunder. Ever since the thunder cauldron flew into Lu Ming's sea of consciousness, Lu Ming felt like he was bathing in an ocean of intent of thunder. He had a new understanding of intent of thunder at all times. His intent of thunder had advanced by leaps and bounds. Now, among the three intents of wind, fire, and thunder, the intent of thunder had become the intent that Lu Ming had the deepest understanding of. Lu Ming closed his eyes, and his consciousness appeared in his sea of consciousness. He looked at the incomparably huge thunder cauldron. The thunder cauldron had not moved during this period, but it kept emitting powerful intent of thunder. Immediately, Lu Ming started to comprehend it. His understanding of intent of thunder deepened, and he was getting closer to being able to condense intent talismans. As long as he comprehended a certain intent to a certain extent, he would be able to materialize the intent and condense it into an intent talisman. In the blink of an eye, another 8 days passed. Half a month had passed since Xiaoqin challenged Xueqiao. On this particular day, a deacon came to the Eastern Sky Courtyard. The Eastern Sky Courtyard's intent of thunder reacted, and Lu Ming opened his eyes from cultivation. Then he walked out of the Eastern Sky Courtyard. Lu Ming, I am the deacon of the mission hall of the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace. You have been in the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace for some time now. You need to complete a mission for the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace. Chapter 464. So, I have to do a mission. Lu Ming's heart stirred. He knew that he had to complete a mission after coming here for a while. What kind of mission is it? Lu Ming asked. After cultivating for such a long time, he also wanted to go out for a walk. Lu Ming, in view of your strength, the mission for you this time is a 2-star mission. Of course, if you think it's too difficult, you can withdraw from this mission. However, once you complete a 2-star mission, the reward will be very generous. The Mission Palace Envoy said. Envoy, can I take a look at the mission first? Lu Ming asked. Okay, the content of the mission is in this jade token. Take a look. The Mission Palace Envoy waved his hand and a jade token appeared. Then he flew it to Lu Ming. Lu Ming reached out and took it. With a thought, the content of the jade token appeared in his mind. After a while, Lu Ming nodded and said, I'll take this 2-star mission. The Mission Palace Envoy smiled and said, Good. You're not the only one who has taken this mission. There are a few others. Tomorrow morning, go to the mission reception hall in the Myriad Star City and meet them. Then we'll set off together. After saying that, the Mission Palace Envoy turned and left. Lu Ming returned to the courtyard and thought about the content of the mission. The so-called 2-star missions were usually completed by 2nd-grade Empyrean Divine Guards. The 2nd-grade Empyrean Divine Guards were basically Martial King experts. Originally, Lu Ming was a rank 1 Emperor Sky Divine Guard and should not have taken on a 2-star mission. However, considering the combat strength he had displayed previously, it was normal for him to take on a 2-star mission. Moreover, Lu Ming also wanted to take on a challenging mission. To Lu Ming, a 1-star mission was not challenging at all. Moreover, after completing it, the reward would be very low. It was purely a waste of time. Then, Lu Ming continued to comprehend the thunder will in his sea of consciousness. A day passed quickly. The next morning, Lu Ming left the Emperor Sky Divine Palace. After arriving at the Myriad Star City, he went directly to the mission reception hall. When Lu Ming walked into the mission reception hall, he only saw 3 people gathered together. Of the 3 people, one was a young woman who was about 25 or 26 years old. She was quite good-looking with graceful curves and a moving beauty. In addition, there was a skinny man in his 50s, and the last person was a burly man in his 30s. Each of them had a mission jade token in their hands. Lu Ming took out the task jade card and injected his true qi. The mission jade plates trembled slightly and glowed on their own. At the same time, the mission jade plates in the other 3 people's hands also trembled slightly and glowed, resonating with Lu Ming's jade plate. It's them? Lu Ming smiled and walked up to them. He cupped his fists and said, The 3 of you, are you also heading to the northern Liang Mountain to investigate the extermination of 2 sects? Not bad. The burly man in his 30s stood up and cupped his fists towards Lu Ming. However, after he carefully sized up Lu Ming, he frowned. What? The 4th person is you? You're only a half-martial warrior. How could you accept a 2-starred mission? Suddenly, the woman yelled with a tone filled with disdain. Lu Ming frowned slightly and said, What's wrong? I'm indeed a half-martial warrior. Can't I accept a 2-starred mission? Ah, what a joke. Kid, do you know what a 2-starred mission means? A 2-star mission represents a mission that only martial kings can take on. The three of us are all first-layer martial kings and are all second-layer Emperor Heaven Divine Guards. Furthermore, a 2-starred mission is dangerous even for martial emperors. You're only a half-martial warrior, yet you dare to accept a 2-starred mission. Are you courting death? I really don't know what the people in the mission hall are thinking. Why would they assign a piece of trash to this mission? The young woman looked at Lu Ming with disdain and said loudly, "Hee, first-layer martial emperor, is it that great?" Lu Ming's face darkened as he said with a cold smile, "First-layer martial emperor is nothing. However, I only need one move to kill you. Kid, I advise you to get lost." The young woman said. "That's enough, Huang Jing, stop talking." At this moment, the burly man said softly. The young woman seemed to be afraid of the burly man. She snorted and shut her mouth, not saying anything else. The burly man smiled and said, "Little brother, I'm sorry. Huang Jing is a bit hot-tempered. Please don't take offense." Lu Ming laughed coldly and did not say anything. The burly man said again, "However, little brother, to be honest, this mission is not something you can accept. Did the mission hall make a mistake? I advise you to go back to the mission hall and apply for another mission." "No need. I've already confirmed this mission. It's suitable for me," Lu Ming said. "Suitable for you? Ah, what a joke. You really don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Let me tell you, if you're not a martial emperor, you're just an ant. Kid, you can follow us shamelessly, but let me tell you, when you're in danger, we won't help you. Don't even think about dragging us down." The young woman sneered. Don't worry. I'm afraid you'll drag me down," Lu Ming retorted. "What's the use of having a sharp tongue?" The young woman snorted and walked to the side, not saying anything else. "All right, since that's the case, let's go together. However, little brother, if you're really in danger, you'd better run quickly. We won't be able to take care of you then," the burly man said. "Don't worry," Lu Ming said. After this period of cultivation, Lu Ming's Zhen Yuan had transformed to 99%. His thunder intent domain was also constantly improving. His battle strength had increased by another level since the battle with Xuechao half a month ago. Lu Ming was confident that he was not weaker than some veteran martial emperors. The burly man smiled bitterly. He really did not know where Lu Ming's confidence came from. Then the burly man introduced himself, "I'm Su Zhong." Then he pointed at the skinny man in his 50s who had not spoken and said, "This is Song Ku." Lu Ming cupped his fists and nodded at Song Ku. "You already know the name of the last one. Little brother, how should I address you?" Su Zhong asked. "Oh, I'm..." Lu Ming was about to introduce himself when he was interrupted by Huang Jing. "You don't have to introduce yourself. You won't live for long anyway." Huang Jing snorted coldly. Lu Ming sneered and did not bother to introduce himself. He stood aside. "All right, let's go then." Su Zhong came out to smooth things over. Then the four of them left the mission reception hall and soared into the sky, heading north of Myriad Star City. Their mission this time was to go to northern Liang Mountain to investigate the murder of a senior member of a sect. During this period of time, there were a total of 2 sects in northern Liang Mountain. The senior members of the martial ancestor realm and above were innocently slaughtered. The strange thing was that their corpses were all gone after the incident. Chapter 465. Even with martial king experts guarding the place, they were still slaughtered. This meant that the culprit was definitely a martial king expert. Their mission was to find the culprit and take him down or kill him. The northern Liang Mountain was located in the north of the eastern part of the Tianxin region. It was 13 million li away from the Myriad Star City. However, with the group speed, they arrived in 3 days. First, they had to go to the biggest city in the northern Liang Mountain area, Northern Liang City. There was a station of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace in northern Liang City. There were already 2 second-grade Emperor Heaven Divine Guards there to investigate. Their first task was to meet up with these 2 second-grade Emperor Heaven Divine Guards and understand the situation. In the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace, not all the Emperor Heaven Divine Guards were like Lu Ming and the others. They were all young geniuses. Among the Emperor Heaven Divine Guards, there were many older ones. It could be said that there were people of all ages. The Emperor Heaven Divine Guard selection held every 5 years was to recruit geniuses with talent and potential and nurture them. These young Empyrean Divine Guards were undoubtedly treated much better. However, the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace would recruit some Emperor Heaven Divine Guards through other methods every year. These Emperor Heaven Divine Guards could join as long as one's identity was clear and one's strength was sufficient. There were no requirements for talent. As for these Emperor Heaven Divine Guards, they were not treated as well as Lu Ming and the others. They were taught by the Palace Master. They had to rely on themselves to complete various missions for the Emperor Heaven Divine Guards and obtain various rewards. Su Zhong and Song Ku were both such Emperor Heaven Divine Guards. Lu Ming guessed that Huang Jing should be the same as him. She should be a genius participating in the Emperor Heaven Divine Guard selection. Judging from her age, she should be from the previous batch. Soon, a desolate ancient city appeared before their eyes. The ancient city was very majestic and filled with the aura of time. The four of them flew in and arrived at the station of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace. They also successfully met the other two Emperor Heaven Divine Guards. The other two people were a white-haired old man and a bald man in his 40s. The two of them emitted powerful auras. With one look, one could tell that they were martial king experts. This bald man should be about the same as Su Zhong. He has reached the peak of martial king realm. He is the strongest among the group. Lu Ming thought to himself, "Brother Su, you're finally here." When the bald man saw Su Zhong, he laughed and cupped his fists. "Brother Wang." Su Zhong cupped his fists and said. The bald man's gaze swept over Lu Ming and the others, and his complexion abruptly changed. "Brother Su, what happened? Why is there a little fellow at the half-step king realm with all of you?" The bald man said. Su Zhong smiled bitterly and said, "Brother Wang, this little brother is also here to complete the mission." "What? Was he also here to complete the mission? What kind of joke was this? A mere half-step king? Are you courting death? Don't drag us down with you." The bald man shouted. "Brother Wang is right. I've already told him to scram back to the mission hall and cancel the mission. But he was stubborn and insisted on following us. He's courting death. We'll just ignore him when the time comes." Huang Jing said coldly. "Forget it. If he wants to follow us, then let him. In any case, we won't have the energy to take care of him when the time comes." The bald man said. Then he no longer looked at Lu Ming. "They're really looking down on us." Lu Ming rubbed his nose. However, he also knew that it was normal for kings to look down on cultivators below the king realm. He ignored them and sat down on a stone bench at the side. "Brother Wang, what's the situation?" Su Zhong asked the bald man about the situation. This time it's mainly the Tianyun sect and the illusory sword sect that were attacked. All the cultivators above the martial ancestor realm in the two sects disappeared. Not even their corpses were left behind. "I'll take you to the two sects to take a look first, and then I'll tell you the details," the bald man said. "All right, then we'll set off immediately." Su Zhong nodded. Immediately, the group of 6 headed towards the Tianyun sect. The Tianyun sect was built on a mountain range. Clouds and mist were faintly discernible, and the mountain range was extremely majestic. It was like a fairyland. There were many palaces and pavilions built on the mountain peaks, and people were coming and going. Lu Ming felt that the Tianyun sect was at least 10 times stronger than the Mystic Essence Sword sect. Thinking about it, it made sense. With a martial king in charge, it was equivalent to an intermediate empire. How could it not be strong? However, Lu Ming sensed carefully and did not feel any strong aura in the sect. Whoosh, whoosh. A few streaks of light flew out from the Tianyun sect. They were martial ancestor realm cultivators. These martial ancestor realm cultivators were not in the Tianyun sect on the day of the attack. Therefore they managed to escape. The bald man explained. Soon the few of them appeared in front of the group. "Greetings to Senior Wang and Senior Lu." The few martial ancestor realm cultivators of the Tianyun sect hurriedly bowed when they saw the bald man and the white-haired elder. These 3 are also kings from the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace. The bald man pointed at Su Zhong and the other 2, ignoring Lu Ming. "Greetings to the 3 seniors." The few martial ancestor realm cultivators of the Tianyun sect bowed respectfully. Their hearts were trembling. They were shocked that so many kings had come at once. "All right, we still have to go in and investigate. You guys lead the way," the bald man instructed. "All right, seniors, please." The leader of the few martial ancestor realm cultivators of the Tianyun sect was a scholarly middle-aged man. He hurriedly said respectfully. The group followed the scholarly middle-aged man and the others and flew into the Tianyun sect. "This time our sect was attacked suddenly. All the experts above the martial ancestor realm have disappeared," the scholarly middle-aged man said with a sad face. Moreover, the strangest thing is that according to the situation at the scene and the reaction of the disciples below the martial ancestor realm, those martial ancestor realm experts did not make a sound and disappeared directly. Only the place where the martial king realm patriarch of our sect was in seclusion caused a huge commotion. There were also some traces left at the scene. The scholarly middle-aged man continued to explain and led them to the place where the patriarch of the Tianyun sect was in seclusion. It was a mountain full of spiritual qi. However, at this moment the mountain had almost collapsed. There was a deep crack in the middle of the mountain. That was the scar of a blade that had almost split the mountain in half. The group flew down and observed carefully. They also found some traces that seemed to have been made by iron chains. Iron chains? What kind of weapon is this? Su Zhong frowned deeply. According to the situation, the person who attacked must be a martial king realm expert. Therefore, the martial ancestor realm experts did not have the slightest ability to resist. However, the other party could not be too strong. Otherwise, the patriarch of the Tianyun sect would not have been able to resist so fiercely. Huang Jing analyzed. However, according to the disciples, the battle was extremely short. It ended in less than a minute. After that, the patriarch disappeared without a trace. The scholarly middle-aged man added. It's very likely that the other party had more than one king realm expert. Su Zhong frowned and pondered. Lu Ming also looked around carefully. What can a half-step king see? He's just pretending. Huang Jing snorted coldly. Lu Ming was speechless. This woman must be crazy to always pick on him. Chapter 466. After observing for a while, they left the Tianyun sect for the illusory sword sect. The strength of the illusory sword sect was similar to that of the Tianyun sect. They also had a first-layer martial king realm ancestor. The situation was similar to that of the Tianyun sect. Everyone above the martial ancestor realm, including the martial king realm ancestor, had disappeared. Not even their corpses were found. The traces left behind at the scene were similar to that of the Tianyun sect. Su Zhong and the others frowned. This situation was indeed strange. They might have more than two martial king realm experts. We have to be careful. Su Zhong said in a deep voice. He then looked at the bald man and asked, Brother Wang, you've investigated for a few days. Have you found anything? Discovered? Of course we have. Furthermore, we have already deduced the next target of the enemy. The bald man smiled proudly. What? That's great. Su Zhong, Huang Jing, and the others were overjoyed. According to my speculation, their next target will be the Black Lion Hall. The Black Lion Hall is similar to that of the Tianyun sect and the Illusory Sword sect. They only have a first-layer martial king realm expert. We just need to wait for them to make a move. After they succeed, we'll find their nest and wipe them out. The bald man said. Brother Wang, that's a good idea. Let's do it then. Let's not waste any time. We'll set up an ambush around the Black Lion Hall and wait for them to take the bait. Su Zhong said. Immediately, the 6 of them headed toward the Black Lion Hall. The Black Lion Hall was located in a huge mountain range. From afar, the mountain range looked like a ferocious lion. Lion roars could be heard coming from the mountain range, shaking the surrounding 10 miles. The 6 of them found a secluded valley in the Black Lion mountain range and waited quietly. Lu Ming sat cross-legged in the crown of a huge tree. He hid his body with the help of the branches and leaves. At the same time, he restrained his aura, making him look like a piece of dead wood. Lu Ming observed the surroundings with a trace of his consciousness. Most of his consciousness sank into his mind to comprehend the thunder intent. He didn't dare to get too close to the lightning cauldron because the closer he got, the stronger the concept of thunder, the greater the pressure he would feel. It was extremely dangerous, and if he wasn't careful, his mind would collapse and his soul would scatter. Just like that, a day passed without any movement. The next day there was still no movement. The next day late at night. Woo-woo. Suddenly gusts of chilly wind blew between heaven and earth. It was bone-chilling. He's here. The bald man pointed to the sky and said excitedly. Of course, his voice was very low and only the few of them could hear him. Everyone looked up at the sky. In the distance, a dark cloud drifted over. Within the dark cloud, a black shadow was faintly discernible. What's in the dark clouds? It doesn't look like a human figure. Wang Jing said. That dark cloud was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, it arrived above the Black Lion mountain range. If not for their high cultivation, they would not have noticed it at all. When they reached the sky above the Black Lion mountain range, the dark clouds finally dispersed, revealing the real thing inside. What's that? Everyone's pupils suddenly constricted. What appeared in the dark clouds was actually 3 coffins. 3 incomparably huge coffins. Each coffin was at least 100 meters long. They were pitch black and floated in the air. It was very terrifying. Whoosh. The 3 coffins rushed into the depths of the Black Lion Mountain range with a whoosh. Not long after, who's there? A furious roar came from the Black Lion Mountain range. Then a huge black lion that was as big as a mountain range appeared in the sky. However, in the next moment, a few pitch-black chains flew out and pierced through the void, entangling the black lion. A few black shadows flashed out, but in the next moment they disappeared again. Boom, boom. In the depths of the mountain range there was a loud roar. The entire mountain range shook as if there were peerless experts fighting. However, not long after, the commotion disappeared. The entire mountain range fell silent. Even the roars of the monsters disappeared. Whoosh, whoosh. In the next moment, 3 huge coffins broke through the air and flew out of the Black Lion Mountain range, flying toward the north. At this moment, there was a commotion in the Black Lion Mountain range. Grandmaster, the Grandmaster is gone. Master, my master is gone too. The Patriarch had a big battle with someone and disappeared. In the Black Lion Mountain range there were waves of wailing. Let's go, let's follow them. Su Zhong's eyes flashed as he said softly. Everyone nodded and rushed into the sky. They rushed into a cloud and used the cloud to cover their bodies as they chased after the 3 coffins. They flew toward the north for about 200,000 miles and entered a very desolate mountain range. This mountain range was boundless and uninhabited. There weren't even many demonic beasts here. Moreover, the deeper they went, the more desolate it was. It was even dead silent. Some white bones gradually appeared on the ground. They could even see some broken weapons and armor. This place should have been a battlefield hundreds or even thousands of years ago. It's filled with Qi and murderous aura. The bald, burly man frowned. A wasteland appeared in front of them. The wasteland was filled with dark red fog. The howling wind was extremely terrifying. Whoosh, whoosh. The 3 coffins flew directly into the wasteland and disappeared. Everyone pondered for a moment and chased after them. As soon as they entered, everyone shuddered because the wind in the wasteland was too cold. Even with their cultivation they could not withstand it for a while. Everyone restrained their aura and focused. They did not land on their feet and flew in the wasteland while looking around. Look, there are so many coffins. Huang Jing suddenly exclaimed softly. Her voice was trembling. Lu Ming looked around and saw rows of coffins in the wasteland. These coffins were about the same size as normal coffins. They were pitch black and eerie. At a glance, there were at least a few hundred of them. Everyone's expression was a little serious as they continued to move forward. Soon they had traveled dozens of miles. Along the way they saw at least a few thousand coffins. What the hell is this place? Is it a graveyard? Huang Jing's face was a little pale. After all, she was a woman. Although she was powerful, she was still afraid of these things. It's probably a faction that cultivates evil martial arts. They're entrenched here. The bald, burly man said. Those martial artists of martial ancestor realm and above have all disappeared regardless of whether they're dead or alive. It's extremely strange. In the eastern part of Tianxian region, I've never heard of any faction that needs so many coffins to cultivate. Su Zhong said. Could it be? At that moment, the white-haired old man's expression suddenly changed. He seemed to have thought of something. Brother Zhong, what did you think of? Su Zhong hurriedly asked. Heavenly Corpse Sect. The white-haired old man pondered for a while, then spat out 3 words in a very serious manner. What? Heavenly Corpse Sect? Su Zhong, the bald burly man, Huang Jing and the others exclaimed. Their expressions changed. Chapter 467. Lu Ming had never heard of the Heavenly Corpse Sect before. However, after entering the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace, he had heard of it. The Heavenly Corpse Sect was an extremely powerful force. Like the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace, it was one of the top forces in the Divine Wilderness continent. Furthermore, the Heavenly Corpse Sect and the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace were mortal enemies. They would fight to the death whenever they met. The most terrifying thing was that the Heavenly Corpse Sect was a force that had suddenly risen in the past 300 years. It was expanding at a terrifying speed and was constantly encroaching on the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace's territory. The Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace had been fighting with the Heavenly Corpse Sect for hundreds of years. Not only was the Heavenly Corpse Sect not destroyed, but it was also growing stronger. Although the Heavenly Corpse sect was still weaker than the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace, it was not much weaker. However, wasn't the Heavenly Corpse sect fighting with the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace in some of the bigger regions in the Eastern Wilderness? Since when did they appear in the east of the Tianxian region? The Tianxian region was located in the easternmost region of the Divine Wilderness continent. In other words, it was a desolate region. How could the Heavenly Corpse sect infiltrate here? They can't be from the Heavenly Corpse sect, right? Huang Jing's voice was trembling and her face was pale. You guessed right. We are from the Heavenly Corpse sect. Furthermore, we are the corpse guards of the Heavenly Corpse sect. Suddenly, a few sinister and ear-piercing laughter rang out. The sound was extremely unpleasant, as if two pieces of metal were rubbing against each other. Whoosh, whoosh. 3 huge coffins pierced through the air. They were about 100 meters long and were extremely huge. In the blink of an eye, the 3 coffins stopped in 3 different directions, surrounding the crowd in a triangular formation. They are really from the Heavenly Corpse sect. Furthermore, they are corpse guards. Su Zhong and the others wore grave expressions. The corpse guards of the Heavenly Corpse sect were similar to the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace's corpse guards. They were the elites of their respective forces. I understand now. It turns out that you captured the experts of the martial ancestor realm and above to refine them into refined corpses. Su Zhong said. Of course we will refine their corpses into refined corpses. A sinister laughter rang out from one of the coffins in the east. The corpses of martial ancestor realm experts have limited uses. Now that you have delivered the corpses of a few martial kings, you can refine into refined corpses. A voice rang out from the coffin in the west. You discovered us? Su Zhong said. Of course. Do you think that we don't know that you guys are investigating us, the Tian Divine Guards? The reason why we went to the Black Lion Mountain Range was to lure you here. Obediently accept your death. A cold voice came from the coffin in the east. At the same time, with a click, the lid of the coffin opened and 7 or 8 black shadows flew out. They were black chains. Trash from the Heavenly Corpse sect. This is the Tianxian region, the territory of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace. Since you guys are here, stay here. The bald man roared and rushed towards the coffin in the east. An incomparably dazzling saber light burst out. It was 1,000 meters long, as if it could split the entire world apart. However, whoosh, whoosh. Those black iron chains seemed to have a mind of their own as they pierced through the void. The 8 iron chains intertwined together and blasted towards the saber light. Boom. With a violent vibration, the saber light was destroyed by the iron chain, but the iron chain also flew back. You have some skills. Good, the stronger the better. The stronger you are, the stronger the refined corpse will be. A sinister laugh came from the coffin. Then the coffin let out a creaking sound, and the lid of the coffin opened completely. Whoosh. A burly figure flew out from the coffin. This figure was more than 2 meters tall, and his face was pale without a trace of blood. However, there was a tinge of black iron in his pale face. His eyes were filled with anger, but there was no emotion in them. On its body there were circles of black iron chains. This is a refined corpse, not the actual person. Su Zhong said in a deep voice. I didn't expect that a country bumpkin from the eastern part of the Tianxian region would have some knowledge. The ear-piercing voice continued to ring out from the coffin. Following which, a black figure appeared. This black figure looked very thin, and his body was wrapped in a black robe, revealing a pale face. There was no trace of blood on his face, as if he was a corpse. However, his eyes were cold, which meant that he was a living person. It was said that the martial artists of the Heavenly Corpse sect mainly controlled corpses. Each of them would refine at least 1 refined corpse, and some would even bring many refined corpses with them. The stronger the refined corpses, the stronger their strength would be. Die. Kill. The corpse guard of the Heavenly Corpse sect shouted with a murderous aura. Whoosh, whoosh. The refined corpse waved its arms, and the 8 chains danced wildly in the air as they charged toward the bald man. Don't think that I'm afraid of you. The bald man shouted angrily as he charged toward the refined corpse. Clang, clang. The two immediately engaged in a fierce battle. The refined corpse was very powerful, and its strength was equivalent to the peak of the first-layer martial king realm. It was hard to tell who had the upper hand in the battle. Do you think that's all I've got? Come out. The corpse guard suddenly shouted in a low voice. Whoosh, whoosh. Suddenly 2 tall figures flew out of the huge coffin. Like the previous corpse, their bodies were wrapped in black iron chains. Their faces were pale and there was a layer of black iron in them. Refined corpses, these two corpses were also refined corpses. Furthermore, they were emitting a strong corpse aura. Their auras were both at the early stage of the first layer martial king realm. Terrifying. A corpse guard of the heavenly corpse sect was able to control 3 refined corpses of the martial king realm. His strength was too terrifying. As soon as the 2 refined corpses appeared, they lunged toward Lu Ming and the others. "I'll take them out," Huang Jing shouted coldly as she dashed toward the 2 refined corpses. Her aura of the mid-first layer martial king realm burst out from her body. Furthermore, Huang Jing was not an ordinary DT on Divine Guard. Like Lu Ming, she was a genius who had passed the previous selection. Her strength was stronger than an ordinary martial king realm cultivator. Her strength was close to that of a late first layer martial king realm cultivator. Clang, clang. Huang Jing's sword was as fast as lightning, and she had lashed out a few hundred times in an instant. However, when the sword rays landed on the refined corpses, it was as if they had landed on metal. Sparks flew in all directions, and in the end, only a few shallow marks were left on the corpses. These refined corpses are similar to the golden-eyed blood corpse. They have copper skin and iron bones and are invulnerable. Lu Ming thought. Huang Jing shouted as she engaged in a fierce battle with the 2 refined corpses. It was hard to tell who had the upper hand. "Kill the corpse guard first." Su Zhong suddenly shouted angrily and dashed toward the corpse guard at lightning speed. "Hehe, you want to kill me? In your dreams, Heavenly Corpse Claw." The corpse guard of the Heavenly Corpse sect sneered and dashed toward Su Zhong. It stretched out a pair of skinny claws and clawed forward. In an instant, corpse aura filled the air as the claws slashed out like blades. Die. Chapter 468. Bam, 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 bam. The Heavenly Corpse sect's zombie guard blocked Su Zhong's attack. Although it was at a disadvantage, it did block it. Everyone was shocked. The Heavenly Corpse sect's combat strength was terrifying. Not only did they have several refined corpses with them, but they also had great combat strength. With the same number of corpses, ordinary martial artists were no match for them. Fortunately, Lu Ming had heard that the refined corpses of the Heavenly Corpse sect were very difficult to refine. Not only did they need the corpses of martial artists, but the refining conditions were also very strict. They needed all kinds of precious materials. Moreover, each person could only control a limited number of refined corpses. It was said that this was determined by the strength of one's mind. If it weren't for these restrictions, the Heavenly Corpse sect would be invincible. No force could compete with them. Swoosh. The zombie guard blocked Su Zhong's attack and retreated quickly, laughing eerily. Just as Su Zhong was about to give chase, another huge coffin let out a cracking sound. The lid of the coffin opened, and a black chain shot out like a bolt of lightning, piercing towards Su Zhong. Its power was extremely shocking. Su Zhong's face changed. He didn't have time to chase after the zombie guard and turned around to block the iron chains. Clang, clang. After a few consecutive booms, Su Zhong's body trembled slightly, and the iron chains flew back. However, in the next moment, a deep roar came from the huge coffin. A figure pounced out with iron chains dancing around it and rushed toward Su Zhong. It was another corpse at the peak of LV1 Martial King Realm. Su Zhong's face turned serious as he fought with it. Kiki, a harsh and unpleasant sneer came out from the second coffin. A figure wrapped in a black robe walked out. It was an old man. His face was full of wrinkles, but his face was very pale, just like the previous zombie guard. It was obvious that he was also a zombie guard. Beside him was a tall and sturdy refined corpse. Only the white-haired old man, a skinny man in his 50s, and Lu Ming were left. "Let's attack together and get rid of these people." The old zombie guard looked at the third coffin. "Okay." A voice came out from the third coffin. Then the coffin lid opened and 3 figures walked out. One of them was obviously a corpse guard. He looked slightly younger, about 30 years old. Beside him stood 2 refined corpses. The 2 corpses both emitted auras of the late first layer martial emperor realm. He will take 2 of their corpses each. How about that? The zombie guard from before appeared beside the old zombie guard and said coldly. 2 corpses per person? Alright, but that brat is only a half-step king warrior. I don't want him. The old zombie guard immediately said. I don't want that brat's corpse either. The first zombie guard shook his head and looked at the third zombie guard. You two don't go overboard. You're throwing the trashiest thing at me again. This time, I don't want this brat's corpse no matter what. The last zombie guard said in a deep voice. Lu Ming was speechless. They hadn't even started fighting yet, but they were already discussing how to distribute their corpses. Did they think they were fish on the chopping block? Boom, boom. In the sky there were several loud booms. Following this, two figures flickered. Su Zhong and the bald man retreated rapidly and stood beside Lu Ming's group. Huang Jing, don't be stubborn. Let's gather together and rush out together. Don't let them take us down one by one. Su Zhong said loudly. Huang Jing clenched her teeth and slashed out twice in a row, knocking the two refined corpses back slightly. She then retreated rapidly. As Huang Jing was retreating, a chain pierced through the air and almost pierced through her. Although she managed to dodge it, she was still hit by a strong force. Huang Jing let out a groan and retreated to the side of Lu Ming's group. A trace of blood leaked out from the corner of her mouth. A piercing sound could be heard as the two first-layer martial ancestor realm refined corpses split into two sides, blocking their path of retreat. Ehe, do you think you can rush out by gathering together? How naive. The first zombie guard let out a piercing laugh. Humph, with our strength, although we're no match for them in a head-on battle, you won't be able to stop us if we want to rush out. Huang Jing snorted. She had just been injured and was in a bad mood. After speaking, she looked coldly at Lu Ming and said, Kid, no one can take care of you now. Don't expect us to help you. Good luck. When did I say that I need your help? Lu Ming smiled faintly. You're still so stubborn when you're about to die. Huang Jing snorted. He who said that there are only a few of us here. The old zombie guard suddenly sneered. What? Su Zhong and the rest were stunned. Phew. Suddenly a piercing sound could be heard. In front of them another huge coffin flew towards them. In an instant, it was above Lu Ming's head. There's more. Su Zhong and the rest were shocked. There's a deep hole there. The bald man shouted. Everyone looked ahead carefully. Through the hazy fog they could see a huge crater in front of them. Just now the coffin had flown out from that crater. Crack. The fourth coffin opened and three figures walked out. A pale-faced young man in his 20s. Beside him were two refined corpses. However, the two refined corpses had powerful auras. One of them had reached the peak first-layer martial emperor realm, while the other was at the late first-layer martial emperor realm. Huang Jing, Su Zhong and the rest instantly turned pale. This time there were as many as 9 refined corpses. Among them there were 3 peak first-layer martial emperor realm corpses, 2 late first-layer martial emperor realm corpses, and 2 mid-first-layer martial emperor realm and early first-layer martial emperor realm corpses. Together with the 4 zombie guards, this force was far stronger than Su Zhong's group. What should we do? I can only hold off 1 peak first-layer martial emperor realm corpse. If there's another late first-layer martial emperor realm corpse, I won't be able to escape. The bald man said anxiously. I'm in the same situation. I can only hold off 1 peak first-layer martial emperor realm corpse and another late first-layer martial emperor realm corpse. Any more and I'll be in danger. Su Zhong said. The hearts of Huang Jing and the rest sank. There were still 5 refined corpses left. Huang Jing could only hold off 2 early first-layer martial emperor realm corpses, while the white-haired old man and the skinny man, who were both at the mid-first-layer martial emperor realm, could only hold off 1 refined corpse each. Who would be able to hold off the remaining peak first-layer martial emperor realm corpse? What should they do? Furthermore, it was only holding off the corpse. It was impossible for them to escape. Furthermore, there were still 4 zombie guards eyeing them. They were most likely going to die today. Everyone couldn't help but think this in their hearts. No, I'm still young. I don't want to die. Huang Jing screamed in her heart. Chapter 469. Refined corpses are controlled by the zombie guards. Once we kill a few zombie guards, the refined corpses will not pose a threat to us. At that instant, Lu Ming, who had remained silent, spoke all of a sudden. Nonsense, who doesn't know that? But there are so many refined corpses here, how are we going to kill the zombie guards? What a joke, it's easy for you to say that. Go ahead and kill them if you dare. Huang Jing glared at Lu Ming and said in a disdainful tone. Fine, I'll go. Lu Ming took a step forward as his eyes flickered with battle intent. Huang Jing, Su Zhong and the others were dumbfounded. You're going to kill them? Are you out of your mind? Are you trying to get yourself killed? Even if that's the case, there's no need to drag us down with you. Huang Jing chuckled as she did not believe Lu Ming's words. Guys, I'll leave the rest of the refined corpses to you. I'll deal with the first layer Martial Emperor Realm Refined Corpse and the zombie guards. Lu Ming pointed to the zombie guard and the refined corpse that had appeared last. Su Zhong and the others were dumbfounded. This? Su Zhong and the others hesitated. Let him go, since he won't be of any help here. Since he wants to die, why don't we fulfill his wish? Huang Jing let out a hollow laugh. Shut up, if you keep talking nonsense I'll kill you first. Lu Ming glared at her with a cold murderous intent. Huang Jing's face turned pale as her heart shuddered for some reason. Haha, did you hear that? That half-martial realm trash is trying to kill us. Hilarious, this is the funniest joke I've ever heard in my life. Me too. The zombie guards wore mocking smiles on their faces. Don't waste your time with them. Kill them and refine their corpses. The zombie guard uttered a roar. Following this, 2 refined corpses flew out from his side, emitting a strong corpse aura. Whoosh, whoosh. 2 refined corpses, one at the peak first layer Martial Emperor realm, and the other at the late first layer Martial Emperor realm. More than 10 chains were fired from their bodies in the direction of Lu Ming. Boom. At this moment, Lu Ming's aura completely erupted. His bloodline erupted. At the same time, the 3 concepts of wind, fire, and lightning also rose up. A long spear appeared in his hand. True Dragon Strike. He thrust out his spear, and a 3-colored true dragon roared as it pounced towards the 2 refined corpses. Boom. With a deafening rumble, the chains that the 2 refined corpses threw out were repelled. The 3-colored dragon did not stop and continued to attack the 2 refined corpses. Bang, bang. The 2 refined corpses trembled violently and were sent flying hundreds of meters away. Su Zhong, Huang Jing, and the others widened their eyes to the point that their eyeballs almost popped out of their sockets. Their mouths were agape and they were dumbfounded. A single attack, Lu Ming had knocked 2 corpses back with a single attack. Not only that, one of them was a first-layer Martial Emperor Realm corpse. How could Lu Ming have such powerful battle prowess? The key point was that Lu Ming was only a half-step king. How could a half-step king beat back 2 such powerful refined corpses in one move? How was this possible? They thought they were dreaming. It was especially so for Huang Jing. Her pretty face was filled with disbelief. Previously, she had been mocking Lu Ming and looked down on Lu Ming. But now, Lu Ming's strength was beyond her understanding. Half-step king at such a young age, wielding a long spear and comprehending 3 wills. I think I know who he is. Su Zhong murmured, but his face was filled with joy. Oh, who is it? Huang Jing asked in a daze. In the entire eastern region of Tianxian Domain, apart from the new Eastern Sky Divine Guard Lu Ming, who else has such battle prowess? The bald man said. Lu Ming? Lu Ming. So it's him, no wonder. Huang Jing was stunned at first, then she exclaimed. Lu Ming's name had spread to all the Imperial Sky Divine Guards in the eastern region of Tianxian Domain. There were not many who had not heard of him. Everyone present had heard of Lu Ming's name. You guys came together, but you don't know that the other party is Lu Ming? The bald man was speechless. Cough cough, I did ask, but I was interrupted. Su Zhong coughed dryly. Huang Jing's face was somewhat pale. She was the one who had interrupted Lu Ming's self-introduction. At that time she thought that there was no need to introduce a mere half-step king. Thinking about it now, she felt a little flustered. Lu Ming, the other party, was actually Lu Ming. The rare genius of the eastern region of Tianxian Domain, the genius who had defeated a true king as a half-step king. If she had known that the other party was Lu Ming, she would not have mocked Lu Ming like that even if she was beaten to death. Now she regretted it to death. How is this possible? How is this possible? A mere half-step king. A zombie guard let out an incredulous cry. The other zombie guards had similar expressions. Kill? Lu Ming held the long spear in his hand, and his aura was like a dragon. With a wave of the long spear, a mighty spear light burst out. Kill this brat. The last zombie guard roared. Clang, clang. The 2 refined corpses waved their iron chains and attacked Lu Ming. The iron chains were extremely terrifying and could shatter a mountain. However, Lu Ming was not afraid. 1,000 dragons kill. With a shake of the long spear, hundreds of small tricolor true dragons flew out. The 2 refined corpses were forced back, and even a few zombie guards were enveloped by the dragons. Damn it, let's kill him together. The old zombie guard roared, wanting to control the other zombie guards to attack Lu Ming. Block those zombie guards, even if it means risking our lives, we must block them and buy time for Lu Ming. Su Zhong roared and pounced on a peak first layer Martial King refined corpse. He even enveloped a mid-first layer Martial King refined corpse and restrained it. The bald man, Huang Jing, and the others yelled and charged toward the refined corpses. Lu Ming's outburst had given them hope, thus they did their best. In an instant, the entire area was immersed in a great battle. Lu Ming's true yuan burst out, and his long spear was like a dragon. The huge spear light was like a mountain, completely suppressing the two refined corpses. Previously, when Lu Ming was battling Xue Chao before the three wills of wind, fire and thunder had completely merged, Lu Ming's battle strength was already on par with Xue Chao's. Later on, when the three wills had completely merged, the power of the three wills had increased by a few times. Furthermore, the three unique skills of the Dragon God had evolved from a Tian rank lower martial skill to a Tian rank upper martial skill. Lu Ming's battle strength had also increased, allowing him to easily suppress Xue Chao. During this period of time, 99% of Lu Ming's vital essence had been transformed. At the same time, his understanding of the three unique skills of the Dragon God had deepened day by day. Now, Lu Ming's combat strength had completely surpassed that of an ordinary peak first-level martial king. Therefore, Lu Ming was able to suppress the two refined corpses. "Shit, let's kill that kid together." The old zombie guard yelled in astonishment. "Kill. Kill." The four zombie guards unleashed their corpse chi, and four claw glows swiped toward Lu Ming. "Devour." Lu Ming's eyes flickered as the nine dragons' bloodline flew out and uttered a roar, unleashing a terrifying devouring force. "The power of my bloodline. My blood essence." The four zombie guards instantly exclaimed. Chapter 470. 9 Dragons Stomping the Sky. Lu Ming looked down from above and took 2 consecutive steps forward. Boom. Boom. A violent force crushed toward the 4 zombie guards. The 4 zombie guards shuddered and retreated. Extreme Dao, strike. At this moment, Lu Ming's body slightly arched and his spine twisted like a dragon. Endless power and intent surged toward the long spear. Whoosh. In the next moment, Lu Ming and the long spear seemed to have merged into one, turning into a sharp spear ray that pierced forward. Whoosh. The space seemed to have been pierced by the tip of the spear and began to fluctuate violently. Looking from afar, the space looked like a ripple that had been pierced by a sharp weapon. Ripples appeared on both sides and a clear mark appeared in the middle. This was the strongest move of the 3 ultimate skills of the Dragon God, the Extreme Dao Strike. It could only be performed after comprehending the 3 intents of wind, fire, and lightning and completely merging them. This move contained the speed of the intent of lightning, the penetrating power of the intent of wind, and the explosive power of the intent of fire. It was said to be indestructible and able to penetrate everything. It was the strongest offensive move. This move was aimed at the last zombie guard. This move was too fast. In the blink of an eye, it had arrived in front of the zombie guard. Ah! The zombie guard screamed in horror. It wanted to dodge, but it was too late. It could only use its pale claws to block in front of its body. Puchi. Its claws, which were as hard as steel, were pierced through like tofu. Then the long spear pierced through its forehead. Buzz. Then the long spear vibrated and a strong force exploded, tearing the body of the zombie into pieces. Dead. A powerful zombie guard died just like that, killed by Lu Ming with a single strike. This zombie guard's combat strength was definitely not weaker than the late first layer Martial King realm, but it was killed by Lu Ming just like that. Su Zhong and the others would have been stunned if they were not in the middle of a battle. Even so, they were tongue-tied and shocked. Especially Huang Jing, who was almost scared out of her wits. She thought of how she had mocked Lu Ming before. If Lu Ming were to shoot her like that, she would be finished. As soon as the zombie guard died, the 2 refined corpses that were fighting with Lu Ming stopped moving in the air like 2 puppets. Ah, not good. Summon the refined corpses to defend. The remaining 3 zombie guards were scared out of their wits. They screamed crazily and desperately tried to summon their refined corpses to defend. Stop these refined corpses. Su Zhong roared and used all his strength to stop the refined corpses with all his might. The others were the same. They risked their lives to tie down those refined corpses, preventing them from returning to defend themselves. Damn it. The 3 zombie guards roared and retreated frantically. Extreme Dao Strike. At this moment, Lu Extreme Dao Strike again. Extreme Dao Strike. Whoosh. Man and spear became one, piercing through the void and stabbing towards the back of a zombie guard. No, help. The zombie guard was scared out of his wits. He screamed desperately and waved his hand, summoning an ancient bronze coffin in front of him. However, it was useless. Lu Ming's spear pierced through the ancient bronze coffin and penetrated the guard's heart. The zombie guard uttered a cry of unwillingness, before his aura faded away. The second zombie guard was dead. As soon as the zombie guard died, the 3 corpses he was controlling stopped in the air like puppets. Among them, there was even a first-layer Martial Emperor Realm corpse that was fighting against the bald man, but they all came to a stop at that instant. Scum of the Heavenly Corpse sect, die. The bald man didn't have any opponents left. So he immediately roared and charged towards the last 2 zombie guards. In addition, there was also that skinny man in his 50s. Without any opponents, he also charged towards the 2 zombie guards. The tables had turned in their favor. Bus. The demon-suppressing spear in Lu Ming's hand trembled slightly, as if it could not withstand the pressure. Phew. Lu Ming took a few deep breaths to calm the restless true qi in his body. It's still a bit difficult to execute the extreme Dao strike. It's extremely taxing on my true qi and my flesh. Lu Ming pondered. Although the extreme Dao strike was powerful, with Lu Ming's current cultivation, he could only execute it a few times. Furthermore, he could not even unleash a portion of its power. If Lu Ming wanted to unleash the full power of the extreme Dao strike, he would have to break through to the Martial Emperor realm and condense intent runes with his 3 intents. Also, this demon-suppressing spear is no longer useful. Lu Ming glanced at the demon-suppressing spear in his hand and thought to himself. The power of the extreme Dao strike was too strong, thus it was a huge burden to the spear. Let's kill these 2 zombie guards first. Lu Ming thought for a while. With a shake of his spear, he continued to attack the 2 zombie guards. The huge spear light pressed down. With the cooperation of the bald man and the skinny man, the 2 zombie guards coughed up large mouthfuls of blood and were seriously injured in just 2 moves. Help, young Master Kuei, help. The 2 zombie guards screamed crazily and ran towards the deep pit with all their might. There are still people over there. Kill these 2 as soon as possible. Lu Ming shouted. From what the 2 zombie guards said, there were still people in the deep pit. Moreover, they seemed to be even stronger. For some reason they had not appeared until now. But no matter what, they had to kill the 2 zombie guards first. You want to leave? Die. The bald man roared and charged towards the 2 zombie guards. With the addition of Lu Ming and the skinny man, the 2 zombie guards could not resist at all. Boom. Lu Ming's spear was as big as a mountain. It combined 3 intents and pressed down. The old zombie guard screamed in pain. Crackling sounds came from its body as it was smashed into the ground by Lu Ming. Blood flowed from its mouth. It was exhaling more than it inhaled. On the other side, the bald man slashed out with his saber, splitting the zombie guard into 2 halves. At this point, all 4 zombie guards were killed. With the death of the 4 zombie guards, the other refined corpses stood there like wooden blocks. Ah, the Heavenly Corpse sect's trash is finally dead. The bald man laughed loudly. Su Zhong, Huang Jing and the rest also breathed out in relief. Su Zhong, Huang Jing and the white-haired old man walked towards Lu Ming. However, the expression on their faces was extremely complicated. Lu Ming, I really had eyes but failed to recognize Mount Tai. I'm ashamed that I didn't recognize you. Su Zhong cupped his fists towards Lu Ming. His face was full of shame. You're too polite. Lu Ming said casually. Huang Jing bit her lips, her face flushed red with shame. She looked at Lu Ming wanting to say something but hesitated. She wanted to apologize to Lu Ming, but recalling her previous attitude, she couldn't bring herself to do so. She had mocked Lu Ming for being a burden to them, but what was the truth? It was Lu Ming who saved them. If it wasn't for Lu Ming, they would have been in danger. Little brother Lu really lives up to his reputation. You're much stronger than the rumors. Please forgive us for our previous offense. The bald man also walked over and said with a forthright smile. Previously, he had also looked down on Lu Ming, thinking that Lu Ming would be a burden to them. Chapter 471. Everyone, according to what the zombie guard said, there must be more people from the Heavenly Corpse sect in the deep pit. What do you plan to do next? Lu Ming changed the topic. I think we should leave this place immediately and report the situation to the higher-ups so that they can send stronger experts. Su Zhong said with a serious face. Although Lu Ming's battle strength was high, he was still a half-step king. If the other party sent out a second-layer Martial King expert, they would be in danger. In the Martial King realm, the difference between each layer was huge. A second-layer Martial King could easily kill a first-layer Martial King expert. I also think we should leave this place. Wang Jing said. I don't think so. The bald man looked at the deep pit and licked his lips. Oh. Su Zhong and the others looked at the bald man in surprise. Everyone, previously the experts of Tianyun sect, Illusory Sword sect and Black Lion Hall, all disappeared. They must have been killed by the Heavenly Corpse sect and brought their corpses here. They must be using the corpses to practice some kind of cultivation technique or to refine some powerful corpse. Now that we've killed all 4 zombie guards, they've definitely heard the commotion, but they haven't shown themselves yet. I'm guessing that they're at a crucial moment in their cultivation. If we enter now, we might be able to kill them in one go. This would be a great contribution. The bald man's eyes were bright and filled with passion. The Heavenly Corpse sect and the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace were mortal enemies. Now, the Heavenly Corpse sect had infiltrated the eastern part of the Tianshan domain. If they could kill some zombie guards with high cultivation, the Heavenly Corpse sect would definitely reward them handsomely. Su Zhong and the others were instantly tempted. But I still think the risk is too great. Su Zhong frowned and said, "Brother Lu, what do you think?" The bald man looked at Lu Ming. Then Su Zhong, Huang Jing and the others also looked at Lu Ming. It could be said that Lu Ming's battle strength was the strongest here. Imperceptibly, his weight in everyone's hearts had increased greatly. "I'm fine with anything," Lu Ming said with a faint smile. Indeed, he did not mind. He had cultivated the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps. If he really encountered an undefeatable expert, he was confident that he could escape. Seeing this, the bald man's eyes lit up and he said, "How about this? Let's go to that deep pit first and investigate it. If there's no danger, then we'll decide what to do next. How about it?" "If that's the case, it's feasible." Su Zhong pondered for a moment and said. Huang Jing and the white-haired old man nodded in agreement. This was the safest course of action. Since the decision had been made, everyone immediately restrained their auras and headed towards the deep pit. They slowly approached the deep pit. The pit was huge and round, with a diameter of more than 1,000 meters. It was pitch black and emitted a dense corpse aura. It was impossible to see what was down there. "What should we do now?" The first to speak was Huang Jing. "I think we should withdraw first," Su Zhong said. Clang. At this moment, the sound of chains colliding could be heard from the bottom of the pit. "Not good, the other party seems to be able to attack." Su Zhong's expression changed drastically. Clang. Clang. At this moment, the sound of chains colliding in the pit became even more intense. It was as if there were countless chains flying up in a frenzy. "Retreat, let's retreat first," Su Zhong exclaimed. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed and he also planned to retreat. At this moment he suddenly felt a cold, murderous intent on his left, spreading toward him. At the same time, an extremely sharp sword light pierced toward Lu Ming. The speed was as fast as lightning, and it approached Lu Ming in an instant. It did not come from the deep pit, but from his side. It was one of his own. "You're courting death," Lu Ming shouted coldly. As if he had grown eyes, the demon-banishing spear in his hand swept out. Boom. The sword chi collapsed and a figure screamed. He was hit by Lu Ming's spear light and flew far away, sliding on the ground for more than 1,000 meters. At this moment, Lu Ming turned his head, his eyes cold and ruthless. It was the skinny man in his 50s, Song Ku. The one who sneaked an attack on Lu Ming was actually Song Ku. At this moment, Song Ku's body was almost blown apart by Lu Ming's spear. He was badly damaged and had suffered heavy injuries. "What's going on? What's going on?" Su Zhong, Huang Jing and the others finally reacted and exclaimed. They were all stunned, not understanding why Song Ku would suddenly sneak an attack on Lu Ming. "Why are you guarding against me?" Song Ku shouted unwillingly while coughing up blood. "It's simple. From the beginning you were too calm. Others looked down on me, but you were too calm, as if you already knew who I was. Moreover, on the way here when you looked at me once or twice, there was a flash of murderous intent. Did you think I didn't notice? I just pretended not to know." Lu Ming sneered, looking coldly at Song Ku. "You?" A trace of fear flashed across Song Ku's eyes. He never thought that Lu Ming would be so meticulous at such a young age. It was just a small flaw, but it was noticed by Lu Ming. "Tell me who sent you to kill me?" Lu Ming shouted coldly, and a cold murderous intent shrouded Song Ku. "Haha, don't even think about it. Even if you kill me, I won't tell you." Song Ku laughed. "Damn it, Song Ku, you're so despicable. Let me kill you." The bald man was furious. He took a step forward and was about to attack Song Ku with his palm. But the moment the bald man attacked, his body suddenly twisted, and his body turned half a circle. A surging palm force was crazily aimed at Lu Ming's chest. This was too sudden. Even Lu Ming could not react. Subconsciously, the Nine Dragons' bloodline erupted, forming a powerful devouring force that enveloped his body. Following this, the bald man's terrifying palm force was crazily aimed at Lu Ming's body. The devouring force of the Nine Dragons' bloodline was unleashed, devouring almost half of the bald man's palm force. However, the remaining half still landed on Lu Ming's body. Bang! Lu Ming was sent flying backward as if he had been hit by an ancient mountain. Behind him was the deep pit. What are you guys doing? Su Zhong, Huang Jing, and the white-haired old man were stunned. They did not understand why the bald man would suddenly attack Lu Ming. Haha, Lu Ming, die. The bald man burst out laughing. Meanwhile, the bald man transmitted his voice to Lu Ming. Lu Ming, who asked you to offend the Thunder Hall Master? You're courting death. Besides, Qiu Changkong and Xue Chao are heading to the Scorching Sun Empire in the Cloud Emperor mountain range. Your friends and family will die. Bang. The bald man's words were like a clap of thunder that exploded in Lu Ming's mind. Lu Ming's eyes turned red instantly. Thunder Hall Master Qiu Changkong, Xue Chao, damn you, die, die, die. Lu Ming screamed in his heart. Clang. Chapter 472. Dozens of black iron chains, each as thick as a person's wrist, pierced through the air like black poisonous snakes with terrifying power. Every one of them had 4 to 5 iron chains on them. Get lost. The bald man roared as he slashed out with his saber. Rays of saber light split the iron chains apart. Swish, swish. There were also 5 iron chains that wrapped around Lu Ming. Buzz, buzz. Lu Ming waved his hand, condensing long spears that flew in all directions to block the iron chains. At the same time, his true chi burst out, and his body was about to soar into the sky. However, as soon as his body moved, a piercing pain came from his chest. He was indeed caught off guard by the bald man's sudden attack. The bald man had mocked Lu Ming as soon as they met, which made Lu Ming let down his guard. Now that he thought about it, it was all on purpose. Rise. Lu Ming roared as he forced his way up. Get down. The bald man roared as he held his saber with both hands. A blazing saber light slashed towards Lu Ming's head. Clang. Lu Ming blocked with his spear, but his body couldn't help but fall. Swish, swish. The iron chains danced in the air as more than 10 iron chains wrapped around the bald man and Lu Ming. At the same time, more than 10 iron chains rushed out of the deep pit. Lu Ming resisted with all his strength, but in the end he was still entangled by one of the iron chains. Haha, Lu Ming, die obediently. The bald man laughed. Come down together. Lu Ming's eyes were cold as he waved his hand. 7 or 8 spear lights pierced towards the bald man. At the same time, he stretched out his hand and grabbed one of the iron chains. He suddenly swung it, and the iron chain was infused with 3 types of intent as it attacked the bald man. The bald man roared as he tried his best to resist the iron chains around him. He also had to deal with the 10 spears that Lu Ming had thrown out. He was suddenly flustered. At this time, Lu Ming's iron chains broke through the bald man's defense and firmly entangled him. Damn it. The bald man was incomparably shocked and angry, roaring again and again. What are you shouting for? Let's go down together. Lu Ming sneered. Break. The bald man was so anxious that his bald head was covered in cold sweat. He frantically chopped at the iron chain with his saber. However, he didn't know what kind of material this iron chain was made of, but it was incomparably hard. The bald man simply couldn't break it in a short time. Whoosh, whoosh. At this time, more iron chains wrapped around Lu Ming and the bald man, dragging them into the deep pit. Outside the crater, Su Zhong, Huang Jing, and the white-haired old man did their best to escape the range of the iron chains. Huff huff. The iron chain dragged Lu Ming and the bald man down. No, I can't die here. The bald man struggled with all his might, roaring again and again. However, he could not break free from the shackles of the chains. Lu Ming, on the other hand, was very calm as he looked around. Along the way, Lu Ming had encountered countless dangerous situations. He knew very well that the more dangerous it was, the more he couldn't panic. Only then could he find a way to break free. The true dragon battle art in his body was circulating at full force, healing his injuries. The crater was really deep. The iron chains dragged the 2 of them down more than 2,000 meters before they finally reached the bottom. Bam, bam. The iron chains dragged the 2 of them and slammed them to the ground. Then the iron chains actually loosened and Lu Ming and the bald man regained their freedom. Once he regained his freedom, The bald man hurriedly retreated to the side and looked at Lu Ming cautiously. Lu Ming glanced at him and then looked around. The crater was very dark and the distance one could see was very limited. Around them, one could vaguely see figures sitting cross-legged on the ground. On each of them there were a few iron chains that swayed like poisonous snakes. At a glance there were at least over 100 figures. Now that you have fallen into my 10,000 corpse ritual array, be obedient and become my refined corpses. At this moment, a cold voice rang out. People of the Heavenly Corpse sect, how dare you? I am a second-grade Heavenly Divine Guard of the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace. I advise you to release me quickly. Otherwise, when the experts of my Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace arrive, it will be the time of your death. The bald man roared. So what if you are from the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace? Just now there were indeed a few people who escaped. However, even if they reported to the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace and the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace sent experts here, it would take at least 3 days. 3 days is enough for me to complete my task and refine you all into refined corpses. That cold voice rang out again. You want to refine me into a refined corpse? Dream on. The bald man roared and soared into the sky, wanting to charge out. However, the iron chains danced in the air from all directions and appeared above his head. Dang. The bald man continued to attack the iron chains, but it was to no avail. In my 10,000 corpse ritual array, even a third-grade martial king realm martial artist would not be able to charge out, let alone a first-grade martial king realm martial artist like you. Be obedient and become my refined corpse. That voice sneered. Whoosh whoosh, as soon as the voice finished speaking, gusts of wind seemed to blow in the deep pit. At the same time, waves of gray fog filled the air. Oh no, it's corpse chi. The bald man's expression changed drastically. Don't make any useless resistance. Under my corpse chi, become a refined corpse. That voice laughed loudly. The dense corpse chi immediately enveloped the bald man and Lu Ming. Lu Ming frowned and circulated his true origin to cover his entire body, blocking the corpse chi in the surroundings. However, sizzle sizzle, when the corpse chi came into contact with the true origin, it actually started to corrode the true origin quickly. On the other side, the bald man roared. Apparently he was facing the same result. I told you it's useless. This is the corpse chi condensed by the 10,000 corpse ritual array. It can corrode true origin. You can't resist it at all, haha. That voice sounded again. Damn it, Lu Ming, it's all your fault, it's all your fault. The bald man roared again and again. He was scared to death. If Lu Ming hadn't dragged him down, he wouldn't have been in such a desperate situation. Lu Ming didn't bother to pay attention to him. He circulated his true origin with all his might, and at the same time, controlled the 9 dragons' bloodline to erupt with the devouring power. Whoosh whoosh. The corpse chi around Lu Ming was indeed devoured by the devouring power of the 9 dragons' bloodline. It had no effect on Lu Ming at all. Of course, Lu Ming used it very secretly and no one else noticed. Immediately, Lu Ming sat down cross-legged and began to circulate his chi to heal his injuries. However, in the eyes of others, he was circulating his chi to resist the corpse chi. Damn it. The bald man kept roaring. He also sat down cross-legged and circulated his chi to resist. Crack crack. Lu Ming's body made a slight sound as he moved to recover. With Lu Ming's current physical strength, his recovery ability was simply terrifying. Coupled with the true dragon battle art, Lu Ming's recovery ability had reached an abnormal level. In just an hour, Lu Ming's injuries were healed. Swoosh. Lu Ming opened his eyes, stood up, and strode toward the bald man. Just now, he was only trying to heal his injuries. He didn't think of letting the bald man go. Chapter 473. What am I doing? Of course I'm going to kill you. Lu Ming said with a faint smile. Kill me? You're still thinking about killing me at this time. Now we should work together and find a way to get out. The bald man shouted. In just an hour, the bald man's aura had weakened a lot. A layer of gray corpse chi appeared on his face. No need. I'll find a way out after I kill you. Lu Ming sneered and strode toward the bald man. The bald man's face was covered in cold sweat as he retreated. A cold voice came from all around as if it was watching a good show. Lu Ming, you're also corroded by corpse chi. I don't believe you can kill me. If you fight me now, you'll only speed up the corpse chi's corrosion. You're digging your own grave. The bald man shouted. You don't have to worry about that. Lu Ming sneered. He clenched his hand and a long spear appeared. Buzz. The long spear shook and 3 different wills burst out. A terrifying spear light blasted toward the bald man. The bald man roared. His battle saber appeared and he fought with Lu Ming. However, he had been corroded by corpse chi and was greatly weakened. How could he be Lu Ming's opponent? In just a few moves he was forced to retreat and spit out a mouthful of blood. How can you be fine? The bald man shouted in disbelief. He discovered that Lu Ming's combat ability was still at its peak and nothing had happened to him. Lu Ming's long spear pierced out and a tricolor true dragon flew out, colliding with the bald burly man. The bald burly man screamed miserably, spurting blood from his mouth. His body flew far away and fell to the ground. Lu Ming took a step forward and appeared in front of the bald man. No, don't kill me. Please spare me. The bald man shouted in horror. At this time he was seriously injured and could not resist. When you attacked me just now, did you think about sparing me? Lu Ming sneered. His eyes were as sharp as lightning. The bald man was stunned and his face kept changing. He wanted to kill Lu Ming. How could he spare Lu Ming? Now I'll send you on your way. Lu Ming said. No, don't kill me, don't kill me. Lu Ming, I've worked so hard to reach the martial emperor realm. I don't want to die like this. The bald man shouted. Martial emperor. However, Lu Ming's gaze was cold and unmoved. Also, I'm one of Palace Master Lei's men. If you kill me, Palace Master Lei will definitely not let you off. Seeing that the soft approach didn't work, the bald man decided to use the hard approach. Lu Ming said coldly. You're dreaming. Let me tell you, the Sacred Clan is behind the Sacred Clan, one of the 2 great clans of the Tianshan domain. The bald man shouted. You talk too much. Boom. Lu Ming shouted and took a step forward. This step contained the power of the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps. Crackle, crackle, crack, crack. The bald man's bones were broken and he lay on the ground like a pile of mud. I won't kill you. I'll let you slowly feel yourself turning into a refined corpse. Lu Ming sneered. No, Lu Ming, you'll die a horrible death. You won't be able to escape after I turn into a refined corpse. You won't be able to escape either. You'll become a refined corpse sooner or later. Ah. Seeing that there was no hope, the bald man laughed wildly. Lu Ming could not be bothered with him. He looked up. Whoosh. His body suddenly soared into the sky and he thrust his spear at the top of his head. A tricolored true dragon flew out. Whoosh, whoosh. Immediately, iron chains appeared in all directions, covering the sky and the sun. The iron chains lashed down on the tricolored dragon. There were too many iron chains, more than a few hundred of them. In just 2 breaths, the tricolored dragon collapsed and turned into nothingness. Lu Ming couldn't break out at all. He landed on the ground. Haha, it's useless. Lu Ming, you're dead meat too. The bald man laughed. Hee hee, you'll all become my refined corpses. That gloomy and cold laughter sounded again. Lu Ming frowned and sat down cross-legged to think of a solution. With my current strength, I can't break out of this 10,000 corpse array. What should I do? What should I do? Lu Ming's eyes revealed a trace of anxiety. He wasn't anxious because of his own safety. The corpse aura in the surroundings couldn't do anything to him. He just needed to wait a few days. Perhaps the experts of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace would come to save him. However, he couldn't afford to wait for a few days. Qiu Changkong and Xue Chao had already gone to the Blazing Sun Empire. With Xue Chao's strength as a martial king, the Mystic Essence Sword Sect and the Crimson Cloud Valley couldn't compete with him and could only be destroyed. Qiu Changkong and Xue Chao should have arrived at the Blazing Sun Empire long ago. They should be mobilizing their troops and sending a large army to besiege the Mystic Essence Sword Sect. Lu Ming didn't have much time left. That was why he was anxious. If the Mystic Essence Sword Sect was destroyed and something happened to his parents, he would regret it for the rest of his life. How can I break out of this 10,000 corpse array? If I can break through to the Martial King realm now, I might be able to break out. Lu Ming's mind was racing. Martial King, Martial King. It was easier said than done to break through to the Martial King realm. During this period, Lu Ming's thunder will had improved the fastest. However, he was still a distance away from condensing the intent rune. It would be difficult to condense the intent rune in a short period of time. Suddenly, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Then, a trace of madness flashed across his eyes. Now, I can only take a risk. Lu Ming immediately focused his mind. In the next moment, his consciousness appeared in his mind. Looking at the huge lightning cauldron in front of him, the madness in Lu Ming's eyes intensified. Previously, he didn't dare to get too close to the lightning cauldron. He was afraid that the lightning on the lightning cauldron would destroy his mind and soul. But now Lu Ming decided to take a risk. He wanted to use the lightning energy on the lightning cauldron to speed up his comprehension of the thunder will and break through to the martial king realm. Step. Lu Ming took a step forward and walked towards the lightning cauldron. Step by step, Lu Ming walked faster and faster. He quickly approached the lightning cauldron. Sizzle, lightning flickered on the lightning cauldron. A terrifying pressure pressed down on Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming's manifested mind was trembling violently. However, the closer he got to the lightning cauldron, the clearer the thunder will became. Lu Ming felt that his comprehension of the thunder will was speeding up. Not enough. It's still not enough. I'm still far from it. Lu Ming's consciousness got closer to the lightning cauldron. Finally, Lu Ming was only a few meters away from the lightning cauldron. At this point, Lu Ming's consciousness started to tremble violently. It felt like it would dissipate at any moment. I'll go all out. Success or failure depends on this. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with madness and viciousness. In the next moment he suddenly took a step forward and charged forward. Then he threw a palm strike at the lightning cauldron. Bang! When the palm strike landed on the lightning cauldron, an unimaginably horrifying thunder will burst out and drown Lu Ming's consciousness. Chapter 474. Lu Ming's vision went black and he lost consciousness. After an unknown period of time, Lu Ming finally regained some consciousness. However, he did not know where he was. It was as if he was floating in an endless void. At the same time, he felt numb and itchy all over his body. It was as if there was an endless electric current flowing through his body. Where am I? Lu Ming tried to open his eyes but found that it was pitch black and he could not see anything. However, he could feel that there was an endless intent realm around him. Thunder intent realm. What a strong thunder intent realm. I feel that I have become one with the thunder intent realm. Lu Ming's eyes lit up and he immediately tried his best to comprehend the thunder intent realm. His comprehension of the thunder intent realm improved by leaps and bounds. It could only be described as terrifying. It was unknown how much time had passed, but his comprehension of the concept of thunder had become several times stronger than before. Lu Ming felt that he had reached a limit. The next step was to condense intent realm runes. Buzz. At this moment, the world shook and Lu Ming felt his vision blur. In the next moment, he saw that he was in midair and a palm had hit the thunder cauldron. Clang. The thunder cauldron shook slightly and a strong force surged out. Lu Ming's body could not help but fly backward. Step. Step. Lu Ming took a dozen steps back before he could stabilize himself. What's going on? Could it be that everything I've experienced before was just an instant? Lu Ming thought in shock. That action was the action he took when he hit the thunder cauldron. If that was the case, it would be extremely shocking. Let's go out and take a look. With a thought, Lu Ming left the sea of consciousness and looked at the bald man. The bald man hadn't died yet. He was still screaming miserably as the corpse chi continued to corrode his body. It seems that not much time has passed. Lu Ming heaved a long sigh of relief, feeling more at ease. He was afraid that too much time had passed and he could not rush back to the Burning Sun Empire. Amazing. That lightning cauldron is really amazing. In just an instant, my thunder intent has increased by several times. However, such a thing can only happen once. It was too dangerous just now. Previously, Lu Ming had really thought that his soul had dissipated. Fortunately, for some unknown reason, he had managed to pull through in the end. However, even if he could survive this time, he might not be able to do so the next time. Unless it was absolutely necessary, Lu Ming would not use this method to comprehend the concept of thunder. If things went wrong, his soul might really scatter. That would be an injustice. Now, can I start condensing the concept of lightning? Lu Ming's eyes were filled with anticipation. Boom. A powerful aura erupted from Lu Ming's body. It was the pure aura of the concept of thunder. Of course, it was only an instant before the aura of lightning concept was completely restrained. Condense. Lu Ming let out a low growl. Through Lu Ming's 3 divine veins, the concept of thunder seemed to connect with the great Tao of heaven and earth. In the vast great Tao of heaven and earth, there was a great Tao of thunder that resonated with Lu Ming. Strands of concept appeared in Lu Ming's sea of consciousness. Then, these strands of concept started to gather together. Soon, these strands of concept gathered together and gradually formed a rune. It was the concept of thunder rune. Not far away, the bald man was dumbfounded. He shouted in disbelief, condensing the concept rune and breaking through to the martial king realm. He is about to break through to the martial king realm. He could not believe what he had just seen. Previously, although Lu Ming's combat strength was extremely strong, it was mostly due to the fusion of 3 concepts and a powerful Tian rank martial skill. A single concept was not very strong. The strongest concept of thunder was still a long way from condensing the concept of thunder rune. However, in just a few minutes, Lu Ming's concept of thunder could actually condense the concept of thunder rune. This was simply unbelievable. This cheating, you're cheating. The bald man screamed. Under such circumstances, the bald man could only use the word cheating to describe it. Damn it, you're trying to break through to the martial emperor realm at this time. Damn it. The icy voice could be heard once again. However, this time it was filled with panic. Die. The icy voice screamed. Over 100 iron chains were whipped toward Lu Ming from all directions. Rumble. However, at that instant the wind and clouds in the sky changed rapidly. Dark clouds gathered together, accompanied by flashes of lightning and roars of thunder. An unimaginably strong aura spread across the place. This suppression was the suppression of the heavens. The heavenly tribulation was necessary to break through to the martial emperor realm and condense the concept of thunder rune. Bring it on. Lu Ming suddenly rose from the ground. His concept of thunder was unleashed, which was extremely strong. He ignored the 100 iron chains that were whipping toward him. Rumble. Crack. In the next instant, the heavens and earth were lit up. Over 10 lightning bolts as thick as an arm descended from the sky and struck toward Lu Ming. Along the way, the iron chains were shattered into pieces by the lightning bolts. H. The cold voice shrieked. Bring it on. Lu Ming let out a roar. At that instant, an inch-long rune appeared above his head, shining brightly. Bang. Bang. Over 10 lightning bolts struck the concept of thunder rune above Lu Ming's head. The concept of thunder rune vibrated continuously, as if it was going to collapse at any time. Luckily, when the lightning bolts disappeared, the concept of thunder rune did not dissipate. Instead, it became even brighter and more solid. At the same time, Lu Ming felt his body going numb. A portion of the force of the tribulation flowed through his body through the concept of thunder rune, tempering his flesh and chi. Although the tribulation of thunder rune was dangerous when breaking through to the martial emperor realm, as long as one could survive it, the benefits would be great. Rumble. In the sky, the dark clouds continued to churn and the rumbling grew louder. It seemed that Lu Ming had managed to withstand a round of attacks and that had angered it. Dark clouds rolled, lightning flashed, and thunder rumbled, as if an even stronger lightning tribulation was brewing. At this moment, Lu Ming's eyes flashed. He moved and rushed to the side. Around him he could faintly see figures. Those should be refined corpses. Lu Ming's body rushed over, and the tribulation cloud above his head moved with Lu Ming. The range of the dark cloud also enveloped the refined corpses. Ah boy, what are you doing? Get out of my way. Get out of my way. That gloomy voice screamed in panic. Chirp, 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 I'll let you have a taste of the lightning tribulation. Lu Ming sneered. The tribulation was a very magical moment. Any living being that was enveloped by the lightning tribulation would be struck by the lightning tribulation. Moreover, the stronger the living being was, the stronger the power of the lightning tribulation would be. However, the lightning tribulation that struck the person undergoing the tribulation was the same. It would not change. Therefore, when others were undergoing the tribulation, it was difficult for others to interfere. No matter how strong one's cultivation was or how high one's martial Dao realm was, they would not dare to help others. Because that would only bring trouble to themselves. Therefore, one could only rely on themselves to pass the tribulation. Sizzle, at this moment, more than 10 lightning bolts struck down from the sky. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.